Your jaw tightens when you say yes even though your ribs whisper no. The room hums with expectation, email banners stack like a falling Tetris wall, and you nod because it's faster than explaining your limits. Your chest feels a small weight, a ceramic cup set right over the sternum. Your breath turns narrow. You promise yourself you'll push back next time, but next time keeps arriving dressed as an emergency. A colleague's quick favor. A partner's, it's just easier if you do it. A friend's, you're the only one I trust. Your tongue goes dry, your smile gets brighter. At night your mind vibrates like a fluorescent bulb that won't turn off. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. You will learn to draw in boundaries so clean and kind that people understand you, respect you, and even thank you, without you hardening, ghosting, or turning into someone you don't recognize. Let's begin with your nervous system, because boundaries live in your body first and your calendar second. When someone makes a request, your amygdala scans for threat, and your reticular activating system pulls forward matching memories, times you disappointed, times conflict exploded, times love felt conditional. That's why your heart flickers, palms warm, and words blur. Blood shifts away from the prefrontal cortex, the part that plans and holds lines, towards survival circuits. If you've practiced saying yes to stay safe, the body confuses people-pleasing with survival. No wonder the tongue says yes before the mind votes. We are going to give the prefrontal cortex oxygen and time, then train a simple boundary voice that sounds like compassion with a spine. Use the gate and garden model. Imagine you live on a property with a gate and a lush garden inside. The gate is your pause, the garden is your energy, attention, and values. People can knock. You decide when to open, how far, and to whom. Most people-pleasing is living without a gate, hands full of watering cans for everyone else's plants. The gate and garden model has 3 moves: touch the gate, step into the garden, open strategically. Touching the gate means buying yourself 60 seconds before responding. Stepping into the garden means sensing what matters to you now. Opening strategically means giving a clear yes, a contingent yes, or a no with a bridge. Before we script language, you'll install the nervous system key that turns the gate. Call it the 4-4-6 breath lock. Inhale for 4 through the nose, feel the ribs widen sideways like a book opening. Hold for 4 to let go 2 rise and signal safety. Exhale for 6, longer than the inhale, to tell the vagus nerve we're not in danger. Do 2 rounds quietly before you answer any request. If you need cover, glance down as if rereading a message or sipping water. As you breathe, place 2 fingers lightly on the base of your throat. Notice warmth on skin, the slide of your swallow, the way the exhale softens the back of the tongue. You are teaching your body that pausing is safe. Here's a short story. In a glass-walled conference room, Layla felt the old heat gather under her collarbones. The product launch had slipped, and her manager said, "Layla will take on the extra QA, she's great at stepping up." The team nodded. She felt her stomach drop and her cheeks warm. For years she earned praise by absorbing overflow. Today she touched the gate, 1 quiet breath. Another. She felt the chair's edge under her thighs, cool air on her forearms. "I want the launch to win," she said, voice steady. "To protect delivery on the features I own, I can review the critical paths by Thursday at noon, but I can't take full QA. If that's needed, we can move my Tuesday deliverable or add a tester." The room adjusted around her words like water taking a new shape. There was a pause, then her manager nodded. Someone else volunteered to split the load. Layla's chest was light for the first time in months. She didn't become hard. She became clear. Scientifically, that pause grabbed oxygen for the prefrontal cortex and reduced amygdala firing. Practically, it gave her the choice gap, those seconds where you choose what kind of person you're becoming. The choice gap is not about clever lines. It's about a nervous system that believes it is safe to choose. The more you practice 4-4-6, the faster your body learns to widen the gap. Neuroplasticity is repetition plus emotion. Every calm boundary wires a little more freedom. Now install your first language tool, the 3-lane answer. Lane 1 is the clean yes. Yes, I can do that. Here's the timeline I can commit to. Lane 2 is the contingent yes. Yes, if we move X or add Y, otherwise I can't meet the standard we need. Lane 3 is the respectful no. No, I'm not able to take that on. Here's what I can offer instead. Each lane protects dignity, yours and theirs. You will keep your tone low and slow, like reading a map. Boundaries are not a performance, they're geometry. Try this micro practice now. Think of the last request you regret saying yes to. Notice the sensations that memory brings, perhaps a slight buzzing along the jaw, a shallow pull at the top of the chest, warmth under the eyes. Do 2 rounds of the 4-4-6 breath lock. Now imagine the same moment again and speak a 3-lane answer aloud. Let it be simple. I want to help. With the current workload, I can review the summary by Friday, not the full deck. Or, I'm not available tonight. I can send you the template I used. Feel the words vibrate in your mouth. Sense the floor under your feet. You are teaching your body that a boundary does not break connection, it clarifies it. Between requests and responses lives an inner microphone that shapes your voice. You'll tune it using the boundary compass. The compass has 4 cardinal points. North is your values, east is your capacity, south is your agreements, west is your desired relationship. When someone asks, you quickly orient. Does this serve my core values? Do I have time and energy without self-betrayal? What have I already said yes to? What kind of relationship do I want with this person? On a napkin, draw a small circle. Place N, E, S, W around it. In the middle, write dignity. That is your true north. If your yes erodes dignity, it's a no. If your no protects dignity, it's a gift. A partner example. It's Sunday evening. Dishes clink, the apartment smells like garlic and lemon. Your partner says, could you handle my mom's birthday logistics? You're better at that stuff. Your ribs stiffen. Old scripts wake up, keep the peace, be impressive, prove love, touch the gate. 2 breaths. Notice the cool of the countertop under your palms and the tiny whistle in your nose on the exhale. Consult the compass. Value, shared responsibility, capacity, this week is heavy. Agreements, we split family admin, relationship, teammates, not parent-child, you look up. I love that your mom feels celebrated. I'm at capacity this week. I can remind you tomorrow and share the invite template, you take the lead. Watch the kitchen stay warm. Notice your shoulders lower 1/2 inch. The bond doesn't weaken, the roles balance. There's a fear that boundaries are walls, that you'll become cold, that you'll be punished. Your nervous system also keeps score of past conflicts, so it might throw a surge of heat or a flash of nausea at the first sign of pushback. Use the 90-second weather rule. For the next 90 seconds after you speak a boundary, treat any emotion like weather moving through. Place a hand on your belly and narrate quietly, a wave of heat, a gust of worry, a sprinkle of shame. Don't fix it. Don't argue internally. Just breathe and time it. Most neurochemical surges crest in about 1.5 minutes. On the other side, your thoughts become clear and your tone becomes kind again. This keeps you from over-explaining or bargaining against yourself. Let's add the microscript forge so your words are ready when pressure hits. You'll craft 3 sentences per lane, simple and repeatable. Speak them in the mirror while standing tall, then while walking slowly, then while slightly tired, because stress likes to arrive when you're depleted. For the clean yes, yes, I can deliver by Thursday EOD. For the contingent yes, Yes, if we move the client sync to next week. Otherwise, I'll miss quality. For the respectful no, I'm not able to. I can connect you with Aisha. She's excellent. The brain loves grooves. Rehearsal puts these lines on speed dial so your mouth remembers when your mind is busy feeling. You'll also build the inner ally to counter the people-pleasing narrator that whispers doom. The inner ally says, "It is safe to protect what matters. It is kind to be clear. You don't earn connection by self-erasure." Use the phrase, "I'm having the thought that," to create distance. Instead of "they'll be mad," say, "I'm having the thought that they'll be mad." This nudges the prefrontal cortex back online. Add a sensation anchor. Notice the cool air along your inner wrists, the pressure of your heels in the shoes, the way your tongue relaxes off the roof of your mouth. Clarity lands better when your body signals safety. At work tomorrow, try the two-question delay, a companion to the gate and garden model. When a request arrives, before you commit, ask, "What outcome matters most here? And what can I deprioritize to make this excellent?" These questions shift the conversation from your compliance to the team's priorities. You're not refusing, you're designing. The amygdala calms when you move from being judged to solving a problem. Your voice will sound like collaboration, not defiance. If someone pushes back, remember the bridge, not a barricade principle. A boundary is a line with a door. No is the line, the door is an offer. I won't take this on, and I can suggest a workflow. I can't talk now, and I can schedule 20 minutes at 2. I'm not comfortable sharing that, and I can explain my reasoning about the decision. Bridges keep relationships alive while you honor your limits. You'll watch respect grow in the soil of your clarity. Notice your breath now, the gentle pull at the sides of your ribs, the looseness returning to your jaw. Imagine stepping through your day with a hand on the gate. Requests arrive like weather. You don't need to fear rain when you own an umbrella. Feel the sensation of an inner room, quiet light, a sturdy table, a cup of water that never empties because you refill it first. This is not about becoming selfish. It's about becoming reliable. When you stop burning your garden to warm other people for a minute, your warmth lasts the whole season. Let's seal part 1 with a drill. For the next 24 hours, you will not give an on-the-spot yes to any new request. Every time you will use the gate touch, one breath, second breath, then one sentence from the 3-lane answer. Keep score on a tiny card or in your notes app. Each pause gets a check mark. At night, journal 3 lines, what you said, what your body felt, what the outcome was. If you slip, write kindly to yourself, learning, not failing. The brain wires what you rehearse and reflect on. You are not here to become hard. You are here to become honest. You do not need permission to protect your capacity. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather itself. You can be kind and clear at the same time. Taste the words as they leave, kind and clear. That is leadership, starting in the smallest moments. That is the art of inner boundaries. You learn to touch the gate. Now we train the calendar that lives behind it. People-pleasing turns time into a leaky bucket. You keep pouring effort in, and by late afternoon you're oddly empty, resentful, and still saying yes. To seal the leaks, you'll build a consent calendar and a yes budget. The consent calendar is an honest map of where your energy actually goes. The yes budget is a number you choose each week, the total, extra commitments beyond your core duties and care. Budgets create freedom because they make trade-offs visible. The brain loves visible limits. It calms the limbic system and steadies your prefrontal cortex. You're not being rigid. You're giving your courage a rail to hold. Start with the consent calendar. Open your planner or phone and write your non-negotiables first. Sleep, movement, meals, deep work blocks, family or solitude time, these are not nice to have. They are the soil for every boundary you will plant. Then place existing commitments. What remains is your margin. Margin is sacred. It's the oxygen in a room. When a new request arrives, it must fit inside that margin. If it doesn't, the answer is a contingent yes or a respectful no from part one. Your nervous system needs this visual because the amygdala overestimates social threat and underestimates time cost. Seeing your margin reduces fear, like turning on a light in a shadowy hallway. The yes budget is simple. Choose a number between 2 and 5 for this week. That's how many extra yeses you'll give outside your core responsibilities. Make it small enough that you feel generous but not exposed. A yes to bake cookies for the fundraiser counts. A yes to fix a teammate's neglected task counts. A yes to an impromptu call counts. When the budget is used, you're done. If something urgent appears that truly matters more, you can reassign a previous yes or increase your budget by 1 intentionally. Choice is the medicine. Each tiny choice teaches your body that approval can be earned through clarity, not through sacrifice. There's a story here. In a dimly lit co-working space, ye wore the bright badge of helpful. Everyone knew if a slide deck broke, ye would fix it. If a brainstorm stalled, ye would fill the silence. Tuesday, 3 requests collided. A sales rep pinged, 5 minutes to check my demo. A project manager asked, quickly review a risk doc. A new hire said, can you sit in my client call just in case? Ye felt that buzzing pressure at the temples and the phantom ache at the base of the neck. He touched the gate, 2 breaths. The consent calendar was open. The margin for the day was a single hour already earmarked for deep work on a performance review. Ye checked his yes budget, 2 of 4 used. He chose deliberately. I can check the demo for 5 minutes now. That's one of my 2 remaining yeses this week. I can't join the client call. Here's my checklist you can use. The risk doc gets my eyes by Thursday. No one exploded. The sales rep sounded relieved. The new hire got a tool. The project manager adjusted. At 6 p.m., Yi walked out without the old low-grade resentment. His chest felt lifted, as if someone had unbuttoned an invisible vest. Notice your own body as you picture this. Feel the subtle cool on the inside of your forearms. Catch the way your shoulders want to climb when you imagine 3 pings at once and let them drop a centimeter. Place your tongue gently on the ridge behind your top teeth. It softens the throat. This is not decoration. Sensation is how you communicate safety to your brain. Safety is how you access choice. Choice is how boundaries stay kind. You'll add a second framework to make your yes and no land smoothly. Call it record, reply, redirect. Record means you write the request in front of the other person. It shows respect and buys seconds. Let me note that. Your pen moves or your cursor blinks. Reply means you give a lane from the 3-lane answer. Redirect means you point them to a next step, resource, or time. You are not leaving them at a dead end. Record, reply, redirect converts vague pressure into a designed path. In your nervous system, that small choreography replaces panic with a sequence. Sequencing is regulatory. It gives the prefrontal cortex a task instead of letting the amygdala free drive. Try it in micro right now. Think of a person who usually gets an automatic yes from you. Picture their face. Feel the tiny quickening in your chest. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Whisper record. Imagine writing their ask. Whisper reply. Say yes if we move X, otherwise I'll miss quality. Whisper redirect. Offer a link, a time next week, or a different contact. Feel the floor under your feet, the socks against your toes. You just rehearsed a new groove. The brain learns fastest with concrete rehearsal while slightly emotionally engaged. That's what you just gave it. Now we upgrade your language for tricky edges. People-pleasing thrives on blurred requests. You'll use precision mirrors. A precision mirror repeats the request in your words and tags the real cost. To confirm, you're asking me to own the off-site logistics end-to-end this week, which likely costs 8 to 10 hours. With my current load, that would displace and delay B. Do you want to make that trade? Precision mirrors are not arguments. They're lights. Many requests were casual tosses in the dark. Light makes people more reasonable. It also protects your dignity by naming the truth without apology. Here's a home example. Your sister texts, "Can you host Sunday? It's easier at your place." Your gut tightens. Your living room is currently a fort of laundry. Touch the gate. Breathe. Precision mirror. You're asking me to host Sunday, which means cleaning, prepping, and shopping. About 4 hours I don't have this week. Then Elaine, I'm not able to host. I can bring dessert to your place at 3. Watch the text appear. Feel your palms grow a little clammy and then cool. The surge will pass in 90 seconds. Let it pass. You didn't break the bond. You trimmed a branch so the tree stays healthy. Some of you fear backlash. You've experienced it. That fear is not imaginary, it's learned. You'll use the pushback protocol so you don't abandon yourself when someone pushes. The pushback protocol has 3 beats: reground, restate, reoffer. Reground means 1 breath and 1 sensation cue. Press thumb to fingertip and feel the pulse. Restate your boundary in the same calm words. Reoffer the bridge. I hear that you're frustrated. I'm still not able to take that on. I can help you outline the first 3 steps. If they escalate, you shift to the broken record. Repeat once more, then exit. The nervous system needs a pre-made script to avoid the bargaining spiral where yes sneaks back in through the side door. At work, there's a moment when past you had no boundary and present you is changing the rules. That can feel like betrayal to others. You'll use the expectation reset. It sounds like, in the past, I said yes to last-minute asks. That created quality dips and burnout on my side. Going forward, I'll need 48 hours notice for non-urgent requests. If it's urgent, we'll move another task to make room. You're not confessing a crime, you're updating a policy. Organizations update policies all the time. You are an organization of one. Treat yourself with the same respect. Take a small sensory break with me. Notice the weight of your phone in your hand or the chair under your thighs. Feel the cool or warmth of the air on the skin of your cheeks. Inhale like the ribs are sliding outward. Exhale longer, like fogging a mirror quietly. Picture a door closing gently on a soft latch. That's what a boundary feels like, a click, not a slam. You are the awareness noticing the click, not the fear that flares and fades. Let's bring in a bit of brain framing. The negativity bias in your limbic system is tuned to detect social disapproval faster than physical threat. That's why a colleague's frown can feel like dusk in your chest. The cure is not to ignore people, it's to install reference experiences where clarity produced respect. Each time you set a boundary and the sky doesn't fall, the brain updates. This is neuroplasticity at work, driven by focused attention and emotion. Speed it up with a gratitude in shadow note after boundary moments. Write 1 or 2 sentences, grateful that saying no kept me calm, or grateful for the discomfort, it means I'm changing. Gratitude anchors learning by recruiting dopaminergic circuits. Again, we're not doing a lecture, we're using science because it makes freedom stick. Another story, this time in a relationship. Nico and Ari had a gentle pattern that turned rough. Ari would vent about work late at night, and Nico would soothe for an hour while resentment brewed like bitter tea. One Tuesday, the clock read 11, 18 p.m., the room smelled faintly of detergent, and the bed felt too warm. Ari started in on a boss's unfair comment. Nico's chest tightened. Old autopilot said be the sponge. Nico touched the gate. 2 calm breaths, feeling the cotton under his fingertips on the sheet. I want to hear you, he said, voice low. I also need to protect sleep. I can listen for 10 minutes now, or we can take half an hour after dinner tomorrow so I'm more present. Which do you prefer? Ari blinked, surprised, then chose tomorrow. They kissed. 10 minutes of quiet replaced an hour of resentment. The next evening's talk was better, sharper, kinder. A boundary didn't make them distant, it made them precise. You'll practice the 10-minute window this week. When someone begins to unload at a time that costs you recovery, offer a 10-minute frame with a scheduled follow-up. This is not stingy, it's strategic. Emotional processing done while you're depleted builds silent debt. Processing done when you've planned it pays both of you back with clarity. Set a timer if needed. Let it be gentle and matter of fact, like putting leftovers in the fridge so they stay good until lunch. Now build strength for situations where guilt is the trap. Guilt is sticky. It masquerades as a moral compass, but often signals habit, not harm. You'll use the guilt filter, ask, did I break a value? If yes, repair. If no, breathe and proceed. You often feel guilty for protecting capacity because your identity got fused with being endlessly available. Identity work fixes that. Say this sentence out loud. I am someone who protects what lets me be generous. Taste each word. Identity statements recruit the brain's default mode network. They shape behavior from the inside. The more you repeat it after a boundary, the faster guilt quiets. We're going to give your phone a boundary voice too. Most people-pleasing happens in the rectangles you carry. Install a response buffer. Quick phrases you can paste that buy time and set expectations. Thanks for thinking of me. Let me check my day and reply by 3. I can't give this attention today. If Tuesday works, I'm in. I'm not available for that. Here's a resource I trust. Save them as text replacements or notes. When the ping lands and your stomach flips, your thumbs won't have to invent language. They'll choose. Choice again, always back to choice. A brief introspection drill, because your body is your first boundary. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Feel the subtle beating at your wrist or in your chest. Notice one place that is slightly tense, perhaps the space between your eyebrows or the small muscles along your jaw hinge. Sing one vowel silently on the exhale, like a soft ah, and feel the vibration. This returns blood flow to the prefrontal cortex and tells the nervous system we are safe enough to choose. You are not the tightness, you are the one who notices it and gently opens the hand. What about chronic overcommitment already on your plate? You'll use the gentle renegotiation. List 3 commitments that are crowding your margin. For each, write one clean email or message that acknowledges the original agreement, names current capacity, and proposes a change. I'm revisiting commitments to protect quality. I can contribute 1 article this month instead of 3. If 3 are needed, I'll bow out so you can find a better fit. Renegotiation is not a failure, it's maturity. Most people appreciate candor early rather than burnout later. You will meet one person for whom no is never enough. It could be a manager, a client, a relative. For them, you'll deploy the boundary ledger. Keep a neutral, time-stamped note of requests, your responses and outcomes. This is not to weaponize, it's to anchor reality. When they claim you're unhelpful, the ledger lets you speak precisely. In the last 4 weeks, I accepted 7 out of 11 requests within the timeline we set. I declined 4 due to conflicts and offered alternatives each time. Precision reduces gaslighting. including the kind you do to yourself. It also signals to your nervous system that you are not helpless. You are documenting, and documentation is power. Take another sensory beat. Feel the line where your back meets the chair. Notice the temperature of the air inside your nose on the inhale versus the exhale. Roll your shoulders once, slow and heavy. Rest your gaze on a single point. These are small, ordinary acts, and they are also how you keep your inner garden watered. You don't wait for the crisis to practice calm. We'll round out part 2 with an evening ritual called the Boundary Debrief. 3 questions spoken into your notes app or journal before bed. Where did I touch the gate today? What boundary did I set? And how did it feel in my body within the first 90 seconds? What part of me I'm proud I protected? Keep it under 2 minutes. The brain consolidates learning during sleep. A short debrief tags your boundary reps for storage. If you missed a boundary, write the micro script you wish you'd used and visualize delivering it tomorrow. That visualization primes mirror neurons. Your body will recognize the scene when it arrives. Before you sleep tonight, put your hand on your chest and your other hand on your belly. Breathe in a way that makes only the lower hand rise. Say, I protect my margins so my love and work stay bright. Feel the mattress underneath you like a dock under a boat. Imagine the waters of requests still moving, but your boat is tied well and won't drift. You are not here to please. You are here to lead, starting with how you lead your own energy. If you hear the old voice whispering that you're selfish, say, I'm having the thought that I'm selfish. Add a second line, I am the awareness, not the thought. The whisper will pass like a breeze through a window you opened on purpose. This is not about building walls. It is about installing doors with handles you control. When you grip the handle, you feel the cool metal, the certainty of the hinge, the quiet authority of choosing who enters and when. That is not distance. That is intimacy with your own life. Tomorrow the world will test your new policies. A meeting will run long. A friend will invite you to something good at the wrong time. The ping will arrive at 9:41 p.m. with the subject line, quick ask. Let your body recognize the pattern and touch the gate. Record, reply, redirect. Use your yes budget like a compass, not a cage. Watch the respect meter rise. First the respect you give yourself, then the respect that returns to you from others who take their cues from your clarity. You are practicing the art of inner boundaries the way a musician practices scales, not glamorous, but it makes the music possible. You are not alone in this. There are millions building quiet strength right now, rewiring their nervous systems in living rooms, hallways, kitchens that smell like lemon and garlic. The world is kinder when its people are clear. Your garden grows when you close the gate at the right times. You sleep deeper. You wake cleaner. You walk into your day with a spine and a warm face. That's leadership anyone can feel without you announcing a thing. Today you'll shape the sound of your boundary so it carries strength without static. Think of it like tuning a guitar you've owned for years but never quite learned to play. You have strings, words, tone, timing, but they need tension set just right. Too loose and the note dies, too tight and it snaps. This is where people-pleasing often hides, not in the content of your message, but in the tremble at the end of a sentence, the rush that spills too many reasons, the upward lilt that asks permission to exist. We'll install 2 tools that make your voice land, the Boundary Voice Triangle and the 5% Braver Rule. Together, they create a sound that other nervous systems recognize as trustworthy. The Boundary Voice Triangle has 3 points: content, tone, and pace. Content is what you say, clean, concrete, no extra apology frosting. Tone is how your sound travels, low, warm, steady like a hand on a table. Pace is the speed at which words arrive, slower than your fear wants. Most of your trouble comes from overloading content, because tone and pace collapsed under adrenaline. When the amygdala fires, your mouth turns into a fire hose of context, trying to avoid someone's disappointment. We are going to reverse that. We lead with tone and pace. Content becomes minimal and clear. Your prefrontal cortex needs breath to set tone, and it needs permission to slow pace. That's where your body enters first, as always. Try a tiny rehearsal now. Put one hand on your sternum, the other on your lower belly. Inhale for 4 through the nose, feel both hands rise. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6, let both hands sink. Now speak a boundary sentence on the tail of the exhale so your tone starts where your body is calm. I'm not available for that. Notice the mouth wants to add reasons. Don't. Let the period be a door that clicks shut, not a doorstop. Feel your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Your shoulders hang heavier by a breath. This is micro skill 1, periods, not paragraphs. Here's a story of the triangle in the wild. Priya worked in customer success and had a manager who loved to delegate with compliments. "You're the magician," he'd say, sliding another urgent ticket across her desk. Priya's heart would zing like a plucked wire, her cheeks would heat and her speech would triple speed. She'd agree, then work late, then simmer. After part 2, she set a yes budget. Today she tested the triangle. The manager said, "Could you jump into this tricky renewal? You're the only one with the touch." Priya touched the gate, 2 breaths. She felt the cool air on the inside of her wrists and the chair's firm edge. Content, 1 sentence, tone lower, pace slow. "I can't take that on today. I can send my renewal checklist." The manager blinked. Silence stretched, not hostile, just new. "Okay," he said. The ticket moved elsewhere. Priya's jaw unclenched, as if a tiny gear had finally aligned. Notice your body as you imagine this. Feel that familiar tug at the base of the skull loosen half a notch. Listen for the quiet after the period. The silence is not danger, it's space. You are teaching your brain to tolerate the space in which respect grows. The second tool is the 5% braver rule. You don't need to be 50% braver to change your life. That bar is too high, and your survival circuits will mutiny. 5% braver is microscopic. Lower your voice a shade, add 1 beat of silence where you would have filled it, choose the short sentence over the long one. 5% is the difference between "I'm so sorry, I know this is inconvenient, I can try but I'm just slammed, and I'm not able to do that." The 5% braver rule triggers neuroplasticity without flooding you. Small safe exposures stretch your window of tolerance. Your vagus nerve learns it can ride a slightly bigger wave and still reach shore. Practice with me. Think of a recurring ask that makes your throat tight. Your neighbor wants you to water their plants every weekend. Your teammate always adds you to the brainstorming dock at 9 p.m. Your uncle expects free tech support. Picture the scene. Smell the faint detergent on your sleeve. Feel the phone's cool weight. Say your usual over-explained answer in your head. Now shave 5% of the words, then 5% more. Then lower your pitch a half step and add a single beat of silence after the sentence. Feel your ribs press against your shirt on the inhale. Exhale like fogging a mirror. Speak, "I'm not available for that," or "Yes, if it's on the calendar by Wednesday." The sensation that rises, heat in the cheeks, flutter in the belly, is your nervous system stretching. You are not the flutter. You are the awareness witnessing a stretch. To give your triangle and 5% rule a place to practice, you'll build a boundary lab meeting with yourself. 15 minutes, twice a week, you stand and deliver your 3 most common boundary lines out loud to an empty chair. Stand because your posture tells your brain you have support. Out loud because your vocal cords need reps like any muscle. The lab has one ritual. After each line, You breathe 1-4-4-6 cycle and feel the weight of your feet. Then you imagine light pushback and deliver the same sentence unchanged. Then you offer the bridge from part 1. No, I'm not able to do that. I can send you my template. You are building calluses where friction used to give you blisters. In one lab session, you might rehearse with a prop, a mug as your manager, a pillow as your sister. It sounds absurd and works anyway. The brain doesn't need reality to learn, it needs repetition linked to emotion. Visualize the room where it happens, the matte glow of your laptop screen, the tiny hum of the fridge, the scent of coffee cooling. Speak, breathe, repeat. After 10 minutes, your voice will sit lower in your body. After 10 sessions, people will start reflecting your steadiness back to you without knowing why. Let's layer in a science bridge so you know the machinery you're driving. When you slow pace and lower tone, you stimulate parasympathetic pathways that tell your heart to beat more efficiently. The baroreceptors along your arteries notice a steadier pressure. Your heart rate variability increases, which is a proxy for your system's flexibility. Flexibility is what lets you stay with a bit of discomfort without fleeing it with a false yes. Pair that with the 5% braver exposure, and you're literally rewiring how your anterior cingulate handles conflict detection. Translation: the alarm gets quieter and more precise, so you stop treating every request like a house fire. There's a relationship story where this precision mattered. Elena had a friend, Tom, who defaulted to long emotional downloads by voice memo. He would send 5-minute monologues at all hours, then feel hurt if she didn't engage instantly. Elena valued the friendship, but noticed a clench in her diaphragm each time the wave icon appeared. She touched the gate. She practiced in the lab. Then she sent a 3-sentence boundary with the triangle and 5% bravery built in. I care about what you're going through. Voice memos are tough for me to process during my week. I'll listen to one under 2 minutes or read texts. Otherwise, let's schedule a call. She hit send and felt a heat wash through her like stepping from shade to sun. 90 seconds later, the heat ebbed. Tom replied, "Got it, I can do that." Months later, their friendship was lighter. The boundary did not reduce intimacy. It prevented quiet resentment from rotting it. Feel your own diaphragm now, the rise and fall. Notice the skin along your collarbones cooling as air moves. Rub your fingertips together and feel the ridges catch. These micro-sensations are not indulgences. They're how you stay with the moment long enough to choose the voice that represents you. We need one more protocol for when your words wobble under pressure. It's called the calibrate and continue. If you hear your voice go high or quick, you pause for one beat, inhale through the nose, and drop your next sentence down like a paperweight on a stack. Let me say that more clearly. Then the line, "I can't commit to that." You did not apologize for wobbling. You calibrated and continued. That meta-clarity is leadership. It shows others how to adjust without shame. It also keeps perfectionism from hijacking your progress. You're learning an instrument, a string will squeal. Tune, play on. At work, you'll have a meeting where the calendar, the triangle, and the 5% rule collide. Let's walk into it together. The conference room smells faintly of dry erase marker and someone's citrus hand lotion. You can hear a low HVAC rush. The project lead suggests compressing a timeline by a week and looks to you because you're the reliable one. Old you smiles and nods, then grinds teeth later. New you touches the gate under the table, thumb to fingertip, feel the pulse. 1 breath, 2. The consent calendar from part 2 glows in your mind. Your margin is thin. You mirror the ask with precision to turn on the lights. To confirm, you're asking me to deliver a week earlier, which impacts testing quality. Triangle, tone lower, pace slower. I can't make that change without moving feature B or adding a tester. Silence. The locus of pressure moves from your nervous system to the whiteboard, where it belongs. The team starts rearranging blocks. You leave with the same spine you walked in with. A quick drill to lock this in. For the next 3 requests you get, regardless of size, practice the one-breath period. You answer with a single sentence, end in a period, and then you inhale for 4 quietly before any further words. Not to be dramatic, just to keep pace and tone steady. Notice your body during the breath, the cool at the nostrils, the soft stretch between ribs, the warmth at the back of the throat. You'll feel the other person's system lean into the steadiness. You just became a tuning fork for the room. Some of you grew up where saying no was punished, so your body expects a blow. That history is real. Your work now is to separate then from now with a bridging sentence you say inside. That was then, this is now. Pair it with one physical anchor, like pressing your big toes gently into the shoes so your calves wake up. Your hippocampus uses context to file memories. By naming now and touching the ground, you help it shelve the past. With repetition, you'll feel the difference between an old ghost and a current risk. You are the awareness naming the difference, not the old ghost. There's an edge case you'll meet, passive pushback wrapped in humor. While boundaries queen, someone might say with a grin that isn't friendly, you'll use the smile and square method. Smile briefly to show you caught the tone, then square your shoulders and square your words. Clarity helps me do better work. Then you return to your plan. You didn't fight. You didn't shrink. You put your sentence down like a brick and kept building. Bricks build rooms where you and others can breathe. At home, the triangle and 5% rule can turn a fight into a design session. Imagine the kitchen at 7:12 p.m., the stovetop ticking as heat drops, cilantro scent in the air. Your roommate leaves dishes to soak that never seem to finish soaking. You've swallowed annoyance for months because you want harmony. Tonight you try a new sound. I need us to rinse and load dishes the same night. I can't keep up otherwise. Can we agree on a 5-minute reset after dinner? Your voice sits lower, the period is clean, and you wait the extra beat your fear hates. The roommate shrugs, says yes, and 2 weeks later the sink gleams most nights. You used to use martyrdom to buy harmony, now you use design. Harmony lasts longer when purchased with clarity. To strengthen your system further, you'll add the reframe trio inside your head before or after a boundary. It has 3 angles: protective, collaborative, growth. Protective says, this keeps my best work possible. Collaborative says, this helps us place tasks where they fit. Growth says, this is me practicing leadership under pressure. Pick one and run it like a caption under your actions. Captions tell your amygdala which movie you're in. If the caption is, I'm selfish, your body prepares for exile. If the caption is, I'm protecting quality, your body prepares for stewardship. Same scene, different story, new chemistry. Take a sensory intermission. Feel the back of your tongue soften and rest. Notice how your clothing touches your shoulders. Listen for the farthest sound in your environment: a distant car, a bird, a hallway footstep. Triangulate yourself in space with 3 senses. This pulls your brain out of the tug-of-war between past and future into now, where you can shape the next sentence with care. You'll meet a day soon where you slip. You'll hear your mouth offer a flustered, overstuffed yes while your ribs whisper no. That's not failure, that's a data point. Use the aftercare reset. Within an hour, send a clean message. I overcommitted earlier. I won't be able to take that on. Here's what I can offer. Your fear says they'll think you're flaky. Reality says most people prefer timely clarity over delayed resentment. Each aftercare reset teaches your nervous system that you won't abandon yourself even when you stumble. Trust in yourself grows when you repair, not when you pretend you never err. We'll close this part with a field practice. For the next 48 hours, run the 5% braver rule deliberately once a day. Choose one interaction where you would normally over-explain. Swap in one clean sentence, an extra beat of silence, and a lower tone. Pair it with the one-breath period and the calibrate, and continue if needed. At night, run a 2-minute boundary debrief. What sentence did you choose? What sensations surged? What meaning did you assign using the reframe trio? If you felt guilt, pass it through the guilt filter from part 2. Did you break a value or just a habit? Then set a single intention for tomorrow. 5% braver at 3 p.m. status meeting, or 5% braver when dad calls tonight. When you wake tomorrow, feel your feet touch the floor and let that be a small oath. You are installing a sound in your life that others can rest against. This is not about dominating, it's about resonance. Your boundaries reverberate through rooms and calendars, through text threads and kitchens, until people begin to predict the shape of your yes and the shape of your no. That prediction is not control, it's safety. Safety lets relationships deepen and work get better. You are not the rush in your chest. You are the one who slows it by 5%, places a sentence like a stone, and builds a path. That is leadership that starts in the throat and ends in the world. Feel one last breath as it drifts out, longer than it came in. A small weight lifts off the sternum. The room stays the same, and you are new inside it. Tomorrow will bring offers, asks, and old patterns in fresh clothes. You will touch the gate. You will consult your compass. You will tune your triangle and choose 5% more courage than before. You will say fewer words and mean them more. You will be kind and clear again. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the gust that shakes the leaves. And you are getting very good at weather. Today you'll build boundaries that hold under pressure from the people who matter most, and from the parts of you that still believe pleasing equals safety. It's one thing to say no to a casual request. It's another to hold the line when culture, family stories, or power dynamics lean their full weight on the door. We're going to map risk, anchor agreements, and learn how to negotiate without sacrificing yourself. You'll leave with 2 frameworks, the boundary risk map and the anchor contract. The first shows you where the floor might tilt. The second bolts your new floor to the studs so it doesn't slide when emotions get wet. Start with the boundary risk map. Close your eyes for 10 seconds and picture 3 arenas: work, home, and self. In each, there are specific people or patterns that reliably melt your resolve. Your manager who says "quick thing" with a smile that means stay late. Your parent who equates accessibility with love. Your own late-night voice that bargains away sleep for one more scroll. The amygdala doesn't care that these arenas differ. It recognizes only the feeling of potential exile. That's why your chest tightens before a word is spoken. You'll draw a simple map, a triangle on a page with work, home, self at the corners. Inside each corner, write the names or habits that trigger you. Then, next to each, write the smallest signal your body gives when you're at risk: heat behind the eyes, jaw micro-clench, breath in the throat. The map isn't for shaming, it's for early detection. Early detection is how you keep your prefrontal cortex funded before the emotional stock market crashes. There's a story from a kitchen that smelled like cumin and lime. Marisol's mother believed good daughters answer phones, even mid-shift, even mid-life. When Marisol didn't pick up, the guilt texts arrived. "I guess you're busy." Old wiring made her stomach drop and her thumbs apologize. After making her risk map, Marisol noticed her earliest tell was a tiny itch at the base of her throat. She decided to pair that itch with action. The next time the phone lit up during a deadline, she touched the gate, took 1446 breath, and let the call pass to voicemail. Then she sent an anchor contract she had prepared. I'm at work now and can't talk. I will call you Tuesday and Saturday at 6 p.m. if there's an emergency. Text 911 and I'll step out. The first week, her mother pushed back. The second week, she began to plan for those windows. Their conversations got warmer. Marisol's chest stopped buzzing by 3 p.m. every day. The map made the itch a cue, not a trigger. The contract made expectations a bridge. Let's install the anchor contract properly. An anchor contract is a simple, clear agreement about when and how you're available. It lives in writing where relevant, calendar invites, shared notes, email signatures, and in your mouth as a script you can deliver kindly. It sounds like compassion with a schedule. I take unscheduled calls between 1 and 2, otherwise I'm heads down. I respond to DMs twice a day. If it's urgent, use the red label. I'm off devices after 9, I'll reply in the morning. When you say this out loud, your vagus nerve may vibrate like a plucked string. It's registering a risk to belonging. You calm it with sensation. Feel the weight of your phone in your palm, the cool edge of the countertop against your hip, the soft friction of your breath in your nose. Neuroscience note: your reticular activating system will start noticing chances to reinforce the contract because you've told it what matters. Name a value, deep work, real rest, and your RAS will highlight cues that match. That's how identity turns into behavior. To make contracts stick, you'll run a tiny rehearsal called timestamp truths. For 3 days, at the moment you switch modes, out of work into dinner towards sleep, you whisper a sentence with a time attached. At 6:30, I'm the friend who listens with her whole face. At 10:00, I'm the person who guards sleep so tomorrow is strong. Time stamps give your brain context. Context lowers alarm. Your anterior cingulate likes predictability. Predictability makes your boundary feel like a familiar path, not a cliff edge. There's a workplace scene where this matters. Dev was the silent safety net of his team. If a late request existed, it slid onto his back. He mapped risk and saw the pattern clearly. A particular product lead who texted at 8:57 p.m. with tiny favor. Dev set an anchor contract with himself first. No new work after 8. Then he wrote a polite message template. Off for the night to protect early delivery tomorrow. If you need support, here are the docs and the on-call alias. The first night he used it, his ribs felt caged. He watched the dots of an incoming reply flicker and vanish. The wave of heat rose. He used the 90-second weather rule and narrated silently. Heat, tight jaw, fear of being punished. The wave passed. Morning arrived and the project lead had solved it another way. 2 weeks later, the late pings dwindled. Dev's mornings grew sharper. The contract didn't make him rigid. It made him reliable. Take a sensory beat. Notice the way your tongue rests when you're not speaking. Let it soften. Feel the lightest brush of fabric at your shoulder. Hear one faraway sound, then one close sound. This triangulation puts you back in your body where choice lives. You are not the swirl of what-ifs. You are the observer returning to a room you own. Now for negotiation, where many of you still burn. You will use the 3-door negotiation. Door 1 is uphold. You restate the boundary exactly and keep the door closed, adding a bridge. Door 2 is trade. You offer a clear swap that preserves your values. Door 3 is timeline. You propose an alternative time that protects capacity. The trick is to choose your door before the conversation, not while adrenaline is driving. Picking a door in advance lets your prefrontal cortex stay in the room. The brain under stress wants to please first and plan later. We're going to plan now. A meeting room story illustrates. Yara's nonprofit was underfunded and overmissioned. Her director would slide just one more grant app across her desk every Friday. Yara drew her risk map and labeled the earliest tell, a faint buzzing in her ears. She picked door 2, trade. Friday arrived, the folder slid, the ear buzz pinged. She touched the gate, breathed, and said, "I want us to win that funding. If I take this, we'll need to shift the donor report to next week or bring in a volunteer editor. Which trade works?" The director paused, weighed options, and chose to shift the report. Yara left with a lightness between her shoulder blades she hadn't felt in months. The negotiation wasn't oppositional, it was designish. Design lessens drama because it puts the pressure on choices, not on approval. Sometimes you face social contracts older than you. Culture says elders go first, daughters absorb, juniors show up no matter what. You are allowed to respect elders and culture while updating agreements. Use the respectful reframe, honor the value, specify the change, attach a why that serves the relationship. I respect how our family shows up for each other. I'm changing my availability for last-minute errands. I do better with a day's notice so I can show up with a good attitude. If someone scoffs, you will hear old tapes crackle, ungrateful, distant. Press your big toes into the ground, inhale and say, "That was then, this is now." Your hippocampus files the moment as current, not ancestral. That filing is freedom. At home, use the clean counteroffer when a partner or roommate asks at the wrong time. "I can't do that tonight. I can take it Saturday morning when I'm fresh." The clean counteroffer works because it avoids the hazy middle where resentment grows. Maybe, we'll see, probably. Haze drains energy, clarity gives it back. Physiologically, clarity reduces prediction error. Your brain hates not knowing what's next. When you give a clear next, cortisol drops, oxytocin can rise, and connection regains traction. This is biology lending you handrails. Let's address the boundary you owe yourself, the one with your own impulses. You can set anchor contracts with your future self to prevent self-betrayal. The 5-minute fire break is a simple version. When you feel the urge to say yes to something that steals from tomorrow, late night scrolling, another drink, one more task, set a 5-minute timer and do nothing but breathe and notice sensations until it ends. Heat in the cheeks, itch in the fingers, a low hum in the chest. You don't fight the urge, you watch it crest. Urges are weather, they drift. Often, 5 minutes is all your prefrontal cortex needs to reclaim the wheel. The fire break is not moralizing. It's time for your brain to reconnect to your values. When the timer ends, choose with both your body and your calendar in mind. There's a quiet story of self-boundary. Taek promised himself 7 hours of sleep. Midnight glowed on his screen and the group chat popped with hilarity. His risk map had a dot here. Fear of missing out made his chest buzz like soda. He set the fire break, lay back, and tracked one sensation per breath. On breath 12, the urgency dimmed. On breath 20, he put the phone face down, whispered his time-stamped truth. At 12:10, "I'm the guy who protects his morning," and turned off the light. The chat was still funny in the morning. His body was kinder. He led himself first, then led his day. For digital life, give your devices boundaries that speak on your behalf. Create a tiny autoresponder for certain hours. Heads down for deep work, replies after 2. Pin a message in group chats. Off after 9, I catch up at breakfast. Use focus modes named after values, craft, family, recovery, so every time you switch, your identity gets a whisper. The RAS loves names, name the mode and your attention follows. If guilt rises, run it through the guilt filter. Did you violate a value or just an old habit of being endlessly reachable? If it's a habit, breathe and proceed. Take another sensory intermission. Feel the cool at the rim of your nostrils as air enters. Notice the temperature difference as air leaves, a degree warmer, proof of life moving through you. Roll your shoulders and listen for the soft creak of fabric. Place your hand on your chest and imagine your palm warming the bone beneath. You are safe enough to choose. You are the awareness behind the sensations, not the sensations themselves. There's a moment when boundaries fail because of ambiguity. Requests show up slippery. Can you help a bit? You'll use the clarity question to solidify the shape. What does a bit look like in hours and outcomes? Or what would an excellent version of this require from me? The second your ears hear numbers, your boundaries find footing. Numbers turn a fog bank into a path. Your limbic system, which hates uncertainty, calms when it can count. Counting is not cold, it's kind. It prevents the resentment you carry like a stone in your pocket. When pushback comes spiced with emotion, try the heatsink response. A heatsink absorbs and diffuses warmth so circuits don't fry. Your version has 3 parts in one sentence: validate, boundary, bridge. I hear you're stressed. I'm still not available tonight. I can give this attention at 2 tomorrow. Then you stop. No stack of reasons, no over-explaining. People will test the weld, that's normal. Your job is to breathe, feel the chair under you, and repeat the line once. Repetition is a kindness to both nervous systems. It signals the boundary is real. Real things are easier to arrange around. Another story, this one in a fluorescent-lit hallway, outside a hospital room smelling faintly of antiseptic and coffee. Carmen had flown in to support her father's surgery. Relatives assumed she'd coordinate meals and rides because you're so organized. The ask carried grief and love. Saying no felt like betrayal. Carmen drew breath against the pinch between her eyes and used door 3, timeline. I'm here for Dad and the morning rounds. I won't coordinate meals this week. I can set up a shared calendar by tonight so everyone slots when they'll cover. The first cousin frowned, the second nodded. By morning, the calendar filled. Carmen slept more than she would have. She showed up for the rounds clear, not frayed. Her love deepened because her edges were intact. Sometimes the person who resists your boundary is your own inner manager, the part that thinks worth equals output. You'll practice the enough line. At a set time each day, you close your laptop and say, "That's enough for today. I protect tomorrow's clarity now." Then do something sensory. Wash your hands slowly and feel the temperature change. Step outside and notice the color of the sky. Rub lotion into your forearms and smell the citrus. Rituals tell the nervous system a chapter ended. Chapters create rest. Rest makes boundaries sustainable. To knit the frameworks together, we'll do a field drill called Map Anchor Door. Before a known hotspot, weekly one-on-one Sunday dinner, the 9 p.m. ping, you glance at your risk map and note your earliest tell. You set or review your anchor contract aloud or in writing. You pre-select a door, then you go in. During the interaction, you keep one fingertip pressing gently to your thumb, a stealthy pulse check that says we are here, we are choosing. After you run a 2-minute boundary debrief, what tell appeared, which door you used, how your body felt in the first 90 seconds, what you're proud you protected. If anything wobbled, you send the aftercare reset within an hour. Repetition here is everything. Neuroplasticity respects reps more than intentions. Imagine doing Map Anchor Door before a quarterly review. The room is cold, the chair slightly too rigid, the window humming with traffic. Your tell is a tick in your left eyelid. You place your anchor contract on the table. I'm focused on 2 priorities this quarter. New projects need trade-offs. You choose door 2, trade. When the bonus carrot appears attached to a surprise project, you breathe, name hours, propose swaps. The eyelid tick eases. You leave with agreement instead of unspoken debt. Your career climbs not on martyrdom, but on design. We'll end with a reality that sets you free. Some people prefer you without boundaries because it served them. Their preference is not your problem to solve. Your job is to be kind and clear. Kindness without clarity breeds confusion. Clarity without kindness breeds defense. You are practicing both at once in a body that is learning it won't be exiled for choosing. Feel your feet now. Notice the ground, unglamorous and loyal. Sense the air at the back of your throat cooling as you breathe. Put a small smile, not on your face, but in your chest, like a light turning on in a room no one else can see. Tonight, write one paragraph anchor contract you will share this week, and one private anchor contract you will keep with yourself. Speak each aloud once. Then, on a small card, sketch your triangle risk map with one tell in each corner. Carry it tomorrow. When the tell whispers, touch the gate. Choose a door. Use the heat sink or a clean counteroffer. If you wobble, calibrate and continue. If guilt knocks, run the filter. Then go take a drink of water. Feel it cool your throat. And let that small act remind your nervous system that care can be simple. You are not here to be endlessly available. You are here to be deeply reliable because you respect your limits. You are the awareness behind the impulse, the one who names the arena, marks the early signs, and selects the door that protects dignity. This is the art of inner boundaries in motion. It looks like ordinary sentences. It feels like a quiet that arrives in your bones. It sounds like a clean period and the soft hush of your own breath. That is leadership others can feel long before they know why they trust you. Today you'll learn how to repair boundaries after friction so relationships grow stronger instead of brittle. Boundaries are not brick walls. They're living edges that get scuffed by weather, bumped by people you care about, and sometimes dented by your own old reflexes. The goal is not to never crack. The goal is to crack without collapsing. You'll install two frameworks that turn conflict into closeness: the boundary repair loop and the no right arrow, then right arrow goal formula. The loop gives you a calm choreography when a boundary is crossed. The formula lets you say a clean no while naming what you want next, so your no becomes direction, not just a closed door. You'll also practice a tiny nervous system ritual that keeps your voice steady when the conversation heats up and your body wants to sprint back to people-pleasing. Start with the boundary repair loop. It has 4 beats you'll memorize like a rhythm: notice, name, normalize, next. Notice means you catch the moment the line was crossed without dramatizing it. Name means you state the boundary in 1 or 2 sentences, past tense for what happened and present tense for what will happen. Normalize means you assume good intent where possible, which lowers defensiveness in both nervous systems. Next means you specify the smallest wise step to restore trust. This loop is not therapy, it's traffic control. When adrenaline spikes, brains love sequence. Sequence keeps the prefrontal cortex steering and gives the amygdala something to do besides ring alarms. A story from a Monday morning hallway. The office smelled faintly of paper and coffee syrups. Amir's teammate Jess had promised to stop tagging him in urgent channels after 9 p.m. Sunday night. 3 pings lit his phone anyway. The old script would have swallowed it and stewed. The new one touched the gate. Amir walked to Jess's desk, felt the cool of the mug in his palm, and ran the loop. "I noticed 3 urgent tags after 9 last night," he said, voice low. "We named a boundary around that last week. I get that Sunday nights can feel like crunch time and old habits kick in. Going forward, please move anything non-critical to the morning or say urgent and text so I know it's real." Jess flushed, nodded, apologized. The tension left Amir's shoulders like a coat slipped off a hook. Notice was factual, name was clean, normalize assumed humanity, next was specific. No lecture, no guilt, just repair. The relationship grew a layer of trust because it survived a small storm with dignity. Try the loop in micro right now. Think of a recent small boundary nick, a friend arriving late without warning, a roommate using your things, a colleague adding you to a meeting you didn't need. Feel what your body does remembering it, maybe a prickle behind the eyes, a tightness where the ribs meet the sternum. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Whisper the beats to yourself, notice, name, normalize next. Now speak one sentence for each. I noticed you were 15 minutes late and I didn't see a message. We agreed on a text. If you're running late, let's stick to that. I know the day gets away from us sometimes. Next time, text when you're on your way. Today let's shift our end time by 15 or reschedule. Feel your tongue soften in your mouth. Sense your heels on the ground. You just turned agitation into architecture. The no right arrow, then right arrow goal formula is your second instrument. People pleasers fear no because it feels like dropping someone into a void. Your nervous system imagines faces falling, doors closing, exile. We're going to change the movie. No is the line, then is the bridge. Goal is the horizon you're walking toward together or apart. It sounds like this. No, I can't take that on. Then let's identify who's the right owner. The goal is to ship without burning anyone out. Or at home, no, I'm not hosting this month. Then I can share the guest list and dessert recipe. The goal is a relaxed Sunday where we all enjoy it. A clean no without a then gets read as rejection. A then without a goal gets read as appeasement. The trio sounds like leadership because it is. There's a kitchen table scene. Sienna's brother liked to swing by unannounced, open the fridge, and ask for tech help between bites of leftovers. She loved him and hated the drop-ins. Today, the afternoon light slanted across the table, dust like glitter in the beam. The door opened. Old reflex said smile and make coffee. New reflex touched the gate. Hey, she said, warm and steady. No, I can't do tech rescue today. Then let's schedule an hour Saturday morning so I'm fresh. The goal is you getting this solved without me resenting it. He blinked, then laughed. Fair, scheduling happened. The fridge closed. The afternoon stayed hers. Sound the micro drill, one breath, one sentence, one visible horizon. Your body will protest the first times you do this. Heat will spread under the collar. Hands may tingle. That's the sympathetic nervous system doing its job. You soothe it with a ritual called the 3-point ground. Point 1 is the soles of your feet. Feel pressure and shape. Point 2 is the back of your tongue. Let it drop from the roof of your mouth. Point 3 is the skin at the inner wrists. Cool air on fine hairs. Touch your thumb to middle finger for 2 heartbeats while you speak. That tiny squeeze is a signal to your vagus nerve that you are present. Presence lowers volume on panic and raises volume on choice. Let's go inside a meeting where your boundary wobbles because power dynamics lean. A VP says, we'll just have you cover both regions through the end of the quarter. The long conference table blooms with laptops. Someone's citrus hand lotion scents the air. Old you explains, rationalizes, and eventually yields. New you runs no right arrow, then right arrow goal with a precision mirror from earlier parts. To confirm, you're asking me to own both regions for 5 weeks, which is roughly a 50% increase. No, I can't do that at the quality we need. Then we can move the West launch or add a contractor for onboarding. The goal is sustained performance, not a sprint that breaks. Silence. A pen clicks. The VP doesn't explode. The room starts to rearrange around reality. You stay seated in yourself. Repair also applies when you cross someone else's boundary. People pleasers sometimes forget that their overfunctioning tramples the autonomy of others. You say yes for them, answer questions they own, rescue to feel needed. Repair sounds like, "I noticed I jumped in and took over your task. That wasn't respectful. I'm sorry. Going forward, I'll ask if you want input first. Next, how can I support without overstepping?" This is boundary work at the level of identity. You're not the fixer to deserve belonging. You're the collaborator who trusts others to carry their weight. Feel the weight lift off your shoulders when you hand back the bag that was never yours. Take a sensory beat. Notice the hum in your environment, the HVAC, a distant car, your own breath like a shell held to an ear. Feel the line of your spine against the chair back. Let your gaze rest on a still object and soften its edges as if your eyes were exhaling. You're creating a small sanctuary room inside your day where your prefrontal cortex can find the light switch. Sanctuary begets steadiness. Steadiness makes your boundary voice sound like shelter, not threat. We'll add a negotiation move that pairs beautifully with repair, the two-option offer. After a boundary is breached or a request arrives wrong-sized, you propose two clear paths that both respect your limit. People calm when they can choose. Choice lowers cortisol. For the update, I can do a one-pager by tomorrow or a deep dive Friday, which serves you. For family visits, I can host one Sunday a month or meet outside every other week. What feels better? This isn't manipulation. It's generosity inside constraints. You're saying, "I won't disappear. I'll show up in a way that works." A relationship story where this turned a fight into forward motion. Malik and Joe loved each other and hated chores. Laundry became a battlefield of half-full baskets and quiet blame. Malik tended to take over and then seethe. One evening, the apartment smelled like garlic and steam. The sink hissed. Malik's chest was a tight drum. He ran the loop. "I noticed I did your laundry again and felt resentful. We said we'd split. I know we both had long days. Next, I can handle sorting if you handle folding tonight, or we each own our own from now on. Which do you prefer?" Joe rubbed their face, sighed, and chose owning their own. The air lightened. The drum unlocked. A boundary breached turned into a system that fit reality. They didn't love each other less. They stopped eroding the love with small erosions. Your mind will test you with late guilt after a firm no. You'll be in bed, room dark, a faint detergent scent in the sheets, and your brain will replay the moment and ask if you were too much. Run the 90-second weather rule and add a sentence of identity. A wave of doubt is passing. I am someone who repairs quickly when needed. If tomorrow requires a tweak, you'll send a message. If not, you let the wave go. You are the awareness behind the doubt, not the doubt itself. There's a boundary to set with time itself. The response latency rule. People pleasers treat every ask as a fire. Response time collapses to 0. You will set a standard delay for non-urgent requests, 30 minutes, 2 hours, end of day, whatever keeps your focus honest. Name it to others when helpful. I reply to emails by 4 if it's urgent. Call. Latency is not laziness. It's a gate that protects quality. Your reticular activating system will stop flagging every ping as life or death and start tagging deep work as the main story. At first, your body may itch. Breathe. Time stretches when you learn you're not at the mercy of everyone else's clock. Let's rewind to a moment many of us dread. You set a boundary and someone gets angry. The voice sharpens, the face hardens, the room compresses. Your survival circuits jump. Use the tri-step heat dissipator. Vent, validate, verify. Vent means you let the first 30 seconds of their emotion run without interrupting. You breathe and stay still. Validate means you reflect one understandable piece without surrendering. I hear you wanted this faster. Verify means you restate truth and next step. I'm not available tonight. Tomorrow at 2 is my first window. You did not argue evidence. You didn't fire his reasons. You absorbed heat like a cast iron pan and returned steadiness. Later, if needed, you loop and repair. Heat rises, pans cool it. Sensation check. Feel the coolness on your inner wrists again. Notice the way your shirt drapes on your shoulders. Swallow and feel the small slide at the base of your throat. You are building a body that can host intense moments without evacuating your values. Now a drill for the next 24 hours, the one repair a day practice. Seek or notice one tiny boundary scuff and run the loop. It can be with yourself. I noticed I kept working past my stop time. I'm sorry I crossed my own line. Next, I'm closing the laptop and walking outside for 5 minutes. Or with someone else. I noticed you moved my tools. Next time ask. For now I'll put a label on the bin. Keep it ordinary. The brain grows fastest on daily, low-stakes reps. Your self-image updates from the person who avoids friction to the person who calmly restores trust. Identity drives habit, habit drives life. What about the boundary you set and then regret because new information arrives? That's leadership, not weakness. You'll use the wise reversal. It sounds like, I said no yesterday based on what I knew. With this update, I can say yes within X limit. Thank you for the new context. Reversal without apology, with parameters. The body of a people pleaser wants to over-apologize. The leader names context and moves. Your nervous system learns that flexibility isn't self-betrayal. It's responsiveness with a spine. There's a professional story where wise reversal saved a relationship. Amya turned down a partnership because the timeline clashed with a critical launch. A week later, the partner offered to shift dates and provide a project manager. Amya paused, felt the chair under her, read the new scope twice. Then becomes now, she said to herself. She replied, with the updated support and dates, I can commit to a pilot this quarter. The goal is a clean test without harming the launch. Here are the 2 milestones I can hit. The partner thanked her for clarity. No one accused her of flakiness. Her team saw her adapt without sacrificing quality. That's what your boundaries are for, making better yeses possible. You'll close this part by building your sanctuary room, a mental space you can step into before, during, or after any boundary conversation. Picture a room with a single window and a sturdy table. On the table sits a glass of water and a small card with your 3 anchors, kind and clear. I repair quickly. I protect what lets me be generous. When you feel yourself tipping into appease mode or attack mode, step into the room for 1 breath. Feel the cool of the glass in your hand. Read the card. Step back into the conversation. That image becomes a conditioned safety cue. Your nervous system associates the room with steady choices. Over time, the room appears in your body as a slow exhale, a heavying of the shoulders, a voice that sits lower. Tonight, write 1 no right arrow, then right arrow goal sentence for work and 1 for home ready to deploy. Scribble them on a sticky note or pin them in your phone. Set a response latency window for tomorrow and tell 1 person. Before bed, run a short boundary debrief where you use the loop, what sensations spiked, what you're proud you protected. Put your hand on your chest, then your belly. Breathe so only the lower hand rises. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the alarm. I repair fast and choose clean. Feel the mattress hold you like a shoreline holds a wave. The wave moves, the shore remains. You are not training to be untouchable. You are training to be repairable, which is stronger. You will still feel heat. You will also feel yourself cooling it. You will still say no. You will also light a then and a goal like lanterns on a path people can follow. You will become the person others trust because your edges are clear and your heart is kind. Your boundaries won't end love or opportunity. They'll make space where both can breathe. Today you'll wire your boundaries into systems so they stop relying on willpower. People-pleasing thrives when everything is ad hoc, when you decide in the moment, with adrenaline in the driver's seat. We'll flip that. You'll design autopilots that protect your best work and your best self before a single request arrives. Two frameworks carry the weight: the Energy Triage Matrix and the Greenlight Agreement. The Matrix tells you what deserves your peak hours and what gets good enough. The agreement trains the people around you to ask in ways that make yes possible and no respected. With these, you move from firefighting to architecture. You'll also learn a tiny reset called the Sanctuary Sprint that keeps your brain from bargaining away the day when chaos tries to sweep you. Start with the Energy Triage Matrix. Draw a 2x2 in your mind or on paper. The vertical axis is energy cost, low to high. The horizontal axis is value to the mission, low to high. Every task and request belongs somewhere. Top right, high value, high cost, gets your prime hours and your full boundary protection. Top left, low cost, high value, gets batch processing with clear gates. Bottom right, high cost, low value, gets a no or a drastic reframe. Bottom left, low cost, low value, gets automation or deletion. Most people pleasers live upside down. You give precious morning clarity to low-value fire drills and pay your best ideas overtime at night. The Matrix stops that theft. You look at a request, and before your mouth answers, you place it in a quadrant. Quadrants create courage. Courage makes clean sentences possible. There's a story in a studio with soft light and sticky notes on a wall. Mina ran a small creative agency and had trained clients to treat her like a vending machine for miracles. A big client loved the phrase, quick iteration, which meant redo the deck by morning. Mina felt the now familiar buzz under her skin and the gritty sting behind her eyes. After hearing about the Matrix, she mapped her day. Concept development sat in high value, high cost. Inbox triage sat in low value, low cost. Quick iteration was almost always high cost, low value. The next time the ping arrived at 6:42 p.m., she touched the gate, saw the box and wrote, "I can't turn a high-cost task tonight without impact on quality. Then tomorrow at 10, I can present 2 targeted alternatives. The goal is a clean decision by noon." The client pushed once, she held. In the morning, the meeting was sharper. By month's end, quick iteration stopped being code for last-minute panic. Mina's evenings softened, her work sharpened. The Matrix didn't make her rigid, it made her honest about effort. Notice your own body as you place a task into a box. Feel the tiny lift under the back ribs when you put a high-cost, low-value ask where it belongs. Sense the field of your vision widen half an inch when you name a high-value project that deserved this morning all along. Press your thumb to your middle finger for 2 beats. Feel the pulse. This is your nervous system learning that geometry can calm fear. Now install the Greenlight Agreement. A green light appears when others approach your time with the information and constraints that help you say yes without self-betrayal. You teach this by example and by asking for it outright. The agreement has 4 parts: context, what matters and why; definition of done, how we'll know it's excellent; effort estimate, hours or range; and window, when it fits your calendar. You're not demanding fealty, you're designing flow. When you bring a request, include the why, what good looks like, and your best guess on hours. I'll tell you where it fits or what trade we need. You'll also mirror the agreement when you ask of others, because modeling is faster than preaching. A hallway story makes it tangible. On Tuesday, the operations lead, Mateo, tossed a casual, "Hey, can you just whip up a dashboard?" at Kira as they crossed paths. Kira's old reflex was a smiling yes and 3 late nights. New reflex, Greenlight. She paused, felt the cool of her water bottle at her palm and said, "Give me context, definition of done, and your estimate. I'll map where it lands." Mateo blinked, then rattled. Board wants a weekly view of revenue by channel to decide spend. Done is trend lines and a 1-sentence takeaway. I think 2 to 3 hours. Kira ran the matrix in her head and the consent calendar from earlier parts. High value, medium cost. Thursday morning is my first prime window. If someone needs it sooner, we move X by Friday. The board had what they needed, and Kira still had a face that didn't look like it had been ironed wrong. The agreement didn't slow the team. It stopped the hidden costs that used to show up as resentment. You'll hear an inner voice whisper that this is too formal, that you'll seem difficult. Translate that whisper with "I'm having the thought that," and breathe. Systems are kindness. They keep today's yes from becoming tomorrow's bitterness, and they protect the part of you that does exquisite work when it's not dragged by chaos. Time for the sanctuary sprint. When your day tilts, a surprise request, an emotional email, a double-booked hour, you'll want to say yes to everything and rescue your identity as the one who handles it. The sanctuary sprint is a 90-second protocol to steady your brain. You step away if possible, or turn your chair 15 degrees to mark a boundary with the room. You breathe 1-4-4-6 cycle. You name 3 sensations: cool under wrists, weight in heels, hum in the walls. You ask 2 questions: which matrix box is this, and what's my smallest wise next step? Then you act on one thing and tell the rest when they'll get attention. Sprint, not retreat. When your nervous system has a ritual, it stops bartering your values for a pat on the head. At home, systems keep love from drowning in logistics. Build a household Greenlight Agreement. Requests include a day, a duration, and the desired feeling. Can you help with the party? Becomes Saturday 2 hours, I want it to feel relaxed. You respond with a lane and a trade if needed. Yes, and I'll skip grocery runs Friday, or no this week, then I'll handle cleanup Sunday. You're not reducing romance to bullet points. You're letting affection ride on rails so it arrives intact. Take a sensory pause. Feel the temperature in your nostrils change between inhale and exhale. Notice the minute stretch between your shoulder blades when you lift your sternum half an inch. Let your tongue rest like a hammock. The body's quiet becomes a drafting table where you lay the day's plans. We need one more system to neutralize a classic trap, the false emergency. People pleasers are magnets for urgent, that is. You'll use the red flag radar. Red flags include vague asks with hard deadlines. You're the only one, and just this once from repeat offenders. When 2 or more flags appear, your default is pause plus precision mirror. To confirm, you need X by end of day, we haven't defined done, and there's no owner besides me. That's 3 risk points. Do you want to adjust scope, owner, or deadline? You're not shaming, you're naming the physics in the room. Naming physics turns storms into maps. There's a late afternoon story. A sales VP emailed Tracy, the lone data analyst, with urgent deck by 5. Tracy felt heat spark at the base of her skull. Flags everywhere. She sanctuary sprinted in her chair, turn, breathe, feel the denim at her knees. Then she wrote, to confirm, you're asking for a new deck in 3 hours without a defined takeaway. I can give a 1-pager with 3 charts by 5, or a full deck tomorrow at 11, which gets you closer to your goal. The reply took 5 minutes. 1-pager by 5. Tracy delivered that, left on time, and didn't rehearse arguments in the shower that night. The red flag radar didn't make her combative, it made her sane. Your phone needs systems too. Create a consent grid for communications. 4 squares, synchronous high stakes, calls with family, critical work, synchronous low stakes, casual calls, asynchronous high stakes, project threads, asynchronous low stakes, social scroll. Assign time windows and response expectations to each. Put it in a note you can share. I do a sync high stakes at 11 and 4. Sync high stakes gets scheduled or emergency text. When a request lands in the wrong square, you move it without apology. Your nervous system relaxes because it knows everything has a place. In relationships, boundaries sometimes erode under the slow drip of small asks. We'll use the pebble count. You and the other party agree that pebbles matter, they pile up. Once a week, you each name one pebble to adjust. My pebble is the 7 a.m. texts. Mine is dishes soaking for a day. You each propose a microfix and a check-in. This turns resentment sediment into conversation. The brain prefers periodic maintenance to emergency repair, so do hearts. Sensation check. Rub your thumb across your index finger and feel the whirls catch. Listen for the farthest sound, then the closest. Roll your shoulders slower than your impatience wants. You're installing in your body the feeling of rooms with windows, light, air, exits you control. Let's fit the matrix and agreement into leadership moments. If you manage others, your boundaries teach theirs. Run a values-to-calendar bridge with your team. Pick 2 priorities and block shared focus hours around them. Name a Greenlight standard for inbound asks. Requests land in the backlog with context, done, estimate, and target window. We triage Mondays. You'll get a week where a senior leader tries to crash the queue. You will say, we can insert it by moving X, or we keep the queue to protect quality. You're not a gatekeeper, you're a gardener. The garden dies if everyone stomps through whenever they like. There's a meeting room story that shows this shift. Andrew led a product trio notorious for scope creep. He sketched the matrix on the whiteboard with big axes and wrote sticky notes for every feature. The room smelled faintly of dry erase and coffee. He moved nice-to-haves to high cost, low value. He circled 3 high-value items and drew boxes around the morning hours they'd occupy. Greenlight rules, he said. Context, done, effort, window. A designer joked about bureaucracy. Andrew smiled and said, it's scaffolding, we climb better with it. 3 weeks later, the demo landed on time with fewer bugs. No one missed the adrenaline rush of chaos. The team's shoulders sat lower. They started to trust themselves. You might worry that systems kill spontaneity. They protect the spontaneity that matters. When your day isn't swallowed by accidental yeses, you have margin to say an alive yes to a walk, a call, a laugh that runs long. Unplanned joy needs planned space. The matrix and the agreement carve that space. Now a micro drill to anchor these frameworks. Tomorrow morning, run a 5-minute matrix map. List your top 6 tasks and place each in a quadrant with 1 word. Then write 1 Greenlight ask you'll send for a task that needs clarity. Speak the ask out loud once. Feel how your chest spreads when you own the design. At noon, do a 60-second sanctuary sprint. At day's end, 1-minute pebble count with yourself. What tiny thing dragged that you'll adjust? The point isn't perfection. It's rhythm. Rhythm is how your nervous system trusts you enough to stop bribing people for belonging. Sometimes you'll hit systemic pressure that resists change. A boss who confuses urgency with importance, a family elder who thinks availability equals love. You'll use the escalation ladder. Step 1, name the impact with numbers and name your boundary. Step 2, offer 2 designed options with trade-offs. Step 3, document and loop back with outcomes. If step 3 fails repeatedly, step 4 is a values conversation or a job search. Boundaries can reveal misalignments you were enduring. Clarity doesn't create misalignment, it exposes it so you can choose. Choice is not always painless, it is always honest. Take a sensory intermission. Place a hand over your heart and one over your belly. Breathe so the lower hand rises first. Picture your inner garden from part 1, soil dark and damp, gate quiet on its hinge. In the center, a workbench with a map and tools. The world will knock. You will open or not, based on the map, not on the knock's volume. There's an inner saboteur we need to meet, boundary envy. It shows up as irritation at people who say no cleanly. Envy is a teacher, it points at a capacity you've buried. When envy pricks, whisper, "Show me the skill." Then steal the sentence. If a colleague says, "That doesn't fit my timeline," try it on. If a friend says, "I'll pass this round," try that cadence. Your mirror neurons are hungry. Feed them examples of clarity until your mouth can do it without shaking. To close, give yourself the permission protocol. Write a short note you'll read before heavy days. I have permission to protect prime hours for high-value work. I have permission to ask for context, done, effort, and window. I have permission to say no to high-cost, low-value asks. I have permission to be generous inside clear limits. Tape it on your laptop lid or save it as your phone's first note. Read it out loud once. Feel the way your jaw loosens when your own voice grants permission. A lot of people-pleasing is waiting for someone else to knight you clear. Knight yourself. Tonight, run a brief boundary debrief. Where did the matrix move your day? Where did a green light ask change a conversation? Where did the red flag radar save you an evening? If you slipped, one aftercare reset. If you held, one gratitude in shadow sentence to stamp the learning. Then close the laptop, rinse your hands under warm water and feel the temperature shift. Step to a window and name one color in the sky. Your systems will hold you tomorrow. You don't have to remember every trick in the moment because you already built the rails. You are not here to juggle for applause. You are here to build an operating system that lets your gifts run smoothly. The Energy Triage Matrix gives you the map. The Greenlight Agreement gives your world the rules to drive on your roads. The red flag radar spots storms before they soak you. The Sanctuary Sprint gives your body a lightning rod in weather. You are the awareness behind the calendar, not the calendar. You are the gardener who decides which beds get water at dawn and which weeds meet the compost. That is leadership people can feel before you say a word. An ease in your shoulders, a steadiness in your tone, a day that looks like it was arranged by someone who cares about quality and refuses to buy love with exhaustion. Today you'll set boundaries with the loudest influence in your life, the story running in your head. People-pleasing isn't just about other people. It's about the private narrator who trades your dignity for approval and calls it being a good person. If your inner voice is an unruly manager, even the best outer boundaries wobble. We are going to rewrite that management style. You'll learn 2 frameworks that reset your relationship with self-talk and expectation: the inner courtroom recess and the minimum viable boundary. The first removes you from the judgment seat so you can think. The second turns grandiose promises into sustainable lines you can actually keep, which is where self-respect grows. We'll stitch them to one micro-ritual that dissolves shame before it orders another reflexive yes. Start with the inner courtroom recess. Imagine your mind as a courtroom where the prosecutor, your inner critic, argues that good people never disappoint. The defense, your wiser self, comes underprepared, and the judge, your awareness, never calls a break. Proceedings continue all day, So when someone asks for time or energy, the prosecutor slams a palm on the table and hisses, "If you say no, you're selfish." Bodies listen to gavel sounds. Shoulders rise, tongues rush. The recess is a 30-second pause that removes the judge from the bench. You touch the gate with a 4-4-6 breath, then you say, either aloud or under your breath, "Court is in recess." You physically shift, turn your chair 2 inches, step to the doorway, or place your pen down parallel to the page to mark the recess with your senses. Then you ask 2 questions only a judge asks: what matters here, and what keeps integrity intact? Those 2 questions move you out of accusation and into design. A story from a long hallway at 5:58 p.m. The floor held the day's warmth. The air smelled like dry coffee grounds, and the elevator chimed somewhere distant. Rena's boss leaned from a conference room and said, "Could you whip a draft by tonight?" The prosecutor stood to full height inside Rena, citing all the ways her value depended on one more heroic yes. She felt heat climb her neck and a fast swallow catch. Rena named recess. She turned her body 30 degrees toward the window, breathed, and asked the judges 2 questions. What mattered? A clear draft tomorrow, integrity, not burning the evening she'd promised to her son for his school project. She pivoted back. "I can deliver a strong outline by 10 a.m. if you need a draft tonight. We'll shift the Q2 analysis or add a writer." The surface of the moment rippled, then smoothed. The boss considered, chose the morning, and shut the door. Rena felt her shoulder blades settle as if set on a better shelf. The prosecutor muttered. The judge scratched a new policy into the ledger. Notice your own body as you try recess. Hear a faint sound far away, the whir of an appliance, the soft rub of fabric. Feel the temperature difference between inhale and exhale at your nostrils. Turn your head a few degrees and let your eyes find one unmoving point. Say, "Court is in recess." Ask the 2 questions. Let the space between your ribs widen like a book opening. You are not the prosecutor. You are the judge who calls for oxygen and context, which is where boundaries survive. Now for the minimum viable boundary. People pleasers swing from no boundary to elaborate, unsustainable systems that collapse at the first storm. Then they blame themselves for not being disciplined. We are going to install small lines that work on messy days. Minimum viable means the smallest version that preserves dignity and momentum. It is not impressive. It is dependable. You pick a domain, work requests, social invites, family favors, device time, and you craft a boundary that fits even when you're tired. I don't decide in the room, I reply after I check my calendar. I won't host more than once a month. I stop all new tasks at 8. I reply to non-urgent messages after lunch. 1 sentence, 1 behavior. When it holds, you expand. When it cracks, you shrink it until it holds. Your nervous system learns that your word to yourself is reliable. Reliability, not perfection, is the root of self-respect. A small kitchen story. Late Sunday, soft jazz wandered out of a tinny speaker. The counter smelled like lemon and olive oil, and the sink was a geography of plates. Jamal's neighbor texted, "Emergency bake sale, can you make brownies by morning? You're the best." Old reflex, say yes, bake until midnight, mumble through Monday. New reflex, MVB. Jamal had written it on a sticky note. No same-day favors after 6. Propose an alternative or a resource. He touched the gate, felt the cool tile under bare feet, and typed, "I'm not available same day after 6. I can share my recipe or buy 2 boxes on my way in." The neighbor responded with a grateful thumbs up and a request for the recipe. Jamal's heart did a little unfamiliar thing. It glowed without buzzing. The brain science bridge is simple. The prosecutor uses negativity bias and social threat alarms to yank blood away from the prefrontal cortex. The recess and MVB put time and sensation back into the system. Time and sensation are oxygen for choice. Repetition wires a loop. Pause, name what matters, protect what lets you be generous. Each reuse burns a deeper groove, and grooves are what your future self will follow when you're too tired to philosophize. Add a shame-dissolving ritual, the 90-second alchemy. Shame after a boundary makes you want to repay the world with a counter-yes. Instead, you sit with the chemistry until it turns. Place one hand on your belly, one on your chest. Name sensations as weather, heat in cheeks, hollow at sternum, flutter in belly. Breathe for 90 seconds, then transmute with a sentence. I protected what lets me show up well. That phrase doesn't deny impact, it claims the purpose. Often, by the time the timer ends, the chemical intensity drops and your thinking returns. You can still repair if needed, but you won't undo yourself to make the feeling stop. Take a tiny interruption pause. Notice the faint drag of gravity on your jaw when you let it hang a fraction. Feel the way your socks grip your toes. Listen for quiet, the kind you only hear when you listen for it. This is how you train your nervous system that silence isn't danger, it's room to choose. You'll pair these frameworks with identity, because identity is a boundary that follows you. Say this sentence as if filing paperwork with your brain's clerk. I am someone who keeps small promises to myself, especially when no one is watching. The clerk stamps it. The reticular activating system starts highlighting evidence. When you put the phone down at 8, a faint light turns on. We do what we say. When you send the aftercare reset an hour after a slippery yes, another light. We repair quickly. Your inner weather forecasts more sun because you have a roof now. Rain doesn't soak everything. There's a relationship story that shows identity's quiet force. On a Wednesday night that smelled like detergent and tomato sauce, Elise and Rowan were on the couch when Rowan asked, "Could you look over my grad essay tonight?" Elise's ribs wanted to clamp like a book snapped shut. She had a dawn deadline. Old Elise would have swallowed the clamp. New Elise called recess. She turned her head toward the window, felt the cool air on her wrists, and asked the two questions. What mattered: being supportive, integrity, maintaining sleep and dawn clarity. MVB already written, no new cognitive favors after 9, schedule help tomorrow. I can't tonight, she said softly. I want to give it real brain. Tomorrow at 6:30 we can go through it over breakfast. Rowan hesitated, then nodded. They ate pasta. Elise delivered at dawn. Rowan got thoughtful help at breakfast. Their quiet love grew edges that made it stronger. When you meet the story in your head that says, if you were truly kind, you'd bend, you'll run the 3-perspective reframe to keep your boundary from collapsing. First person, I protect my capacity so I can be kind tomorrow. Second person, you're building trust with yourself. This pause is part of that. Third person, Elise is doing the adult thing, designing support instead of resenting. Switching vantage points recruits different networks in the brain and loosens the single story that used to rule you. You're not tricking yourself. You're seeing a fuller picture and choosing the one aligned with values, not fear. Your devices are where the prosecutor throws parties. We'll set an MVB for rectangles, the 2-door rule. Door 1 is create. You open an app to post, write, plan, or send a designed message. Door 2 is consume. You open to scroll or read. Before your thumb moves, you name the door aloud. If you can't name it, the app does open. This single whisper separates intention from drift. Drift is where yesies come from at 10:47 p.m. when you promised yourself sleep. When drift appears, call a recess, place the phone face down and breathe. The urge will crest and fall. You'll wake with a brain you can inhabit. Sensation check. Feel the tiny coolness on your inner wrists. Notice the weight of your phone or the absence of it. Let your shoulders sigh, just barely, as if setting down a light bag. You are building a habit of noticing before deciding. That habit is the quiet spine of boundaries. Sometimes the prosecutor enlists perfectionism to sabotage minimum viable anything. If you can't do the perfect boundary, do nothing and hate yourself later. You answer with the 1-inch move. For any line you want to draw, take an inch that costs almost nothing. You won't overhaul dinner time this week. You'll eat it at a table without screens once. You won't block focus hours for a month. You'll block tomorrow's first hour and defend it like a lioness. The inch matters because it generates proof. Proof undercuts the critic's absolutism. Proof tells your amygdala, we survived clarity and nobody took our lunch. A workplace scene. Theo wanted to stop being the default meeting note-taker because he spoke less when he typed. MVB, no note-taking on days he presented. 1-inch move, ask a teammate to rotate today. The conference room smelled like dry erase and citrus hand lotion. Theo felt the rush in his chest, pressed thumb to middle finger and said, I present today, so let's rotate notes to Priyanka, I'll take Friday. Silence. Then a simple sure. Theo spoke more. The inch turned into a policy by month's end. He didn't become a rebel. He became a participant in his own career. We'll give your inner world a tool for when shame starts narrating the past in high definition. The archive audit is a 5-minute journaling ritual once a week where you list 3 moments you said no or set a condition, then write the real outcome. Said no to weekend trip, friends still called Tuesday. Asked for 2 days on report, quality improved. Stopped late night scroll, slept 7 hours. This is not a gratitude list. It's a courtroom exhibit binder. When the prosecutor waves anecdotal evidence, you reach for documented patterns. The body calms when it sees patterns. That's what it uses to predict safety. Take a breath you can hear in the back of your throat. Let the exhale lengthen like you're fogging a mirror slowly. Feel the chair under your thighs, the exact points where bone meets cushion. You are showing your nervous system that the bench is sturdy. Judges need sturdy benches. Sometimes your boundary will produce tears in someone else's eyes or frustration in their voice. That's when you'll use the compassionate echo. Reflect one true thing without changing your line. I hear you're disappointed. I still won't be able to make tonight. I get that this is stressful. My first window is 2. The echo calms both bodies because it acknowledges emotion while honoring the MVB. Your job is not to erase their weather. Your job is to keep your roof attached so you can remain present in the storm. Here's a moment from a family dinner. The room buzzed with overlapping stories, cilantro scent in the air. Aunt Leela, patron saint of last-minute plans, said, "We're doing brunch tomorrow. You'll come, right?" Old you would have smiled and nodded, then organized your life around it while simmering. Knew you called recess. You took one sip of water, felt the cool run down your throat and said, "I love seeing everyone. I don't do next day plans, I've got commitments. Let's plan next weekend so I can be there fully." Aunt Leela's mouth pressed into a line, then softened. "Okay, text me your free mornings." The prosecutor in your head tried to file an appeal. You muted the notification. Your belly stayed warm. The night stayed yours. We need to strengthen your repair loop with yourself for when you break your own MVB. You'll use the self-forgive, self-fix, self-future sequence. Forgive, I crossed my line, that was a bid for safety, not malice. Fix, I'm sending the correction now. Future, I'll move the sticky note where I see it at the moment of risk. You do this sequence without theatrics, like washing a cup and putting it back. Guilt becomes a reminder, not a residence. A small failure story that turned into a win. Cassie promised herself to stop work at 7. At 7:23 she was still typing, the glow of the screen like a small sun in a dark room. She noticed. Forgive, I slipped because adrenaline felt good. Fix. She closed the laptop mid-sentence and wrote a sticky, pick up here. Future. She placed the sticky on the keyboard and set a phone reminder for 6:55 tomorrow labeled Protect Tomorrow. She stood, felt blood return to her feet, and washed her face slowly, the waters cool, a kind of absolution. She didn't make a speech about self-care. She did one thing that made all the difference. You'll bake identity into your mornings with a 2-sentence oath that installs your boundaries before the world asks anything. Stand, feel your feet spread, breathe so your lower hand rises if you place it on your belly. Say, I protect what lets me be generous. I trade approval for alignment. Then move into your day. Oaths sound old-fashioned because they are. The nervous system loves rituals. Rituals make memory sticky. Sticky memory shows up under stress when you need it, like a rope in the dark. Sensation pause. Touch the skin at the base of your throat. Feel warmth. Relax the tiny muscles around your eyes as if widening your peripheral vision. Hear the nearest sound and the farthest. This is you stepping into the sanctuary room you built earlier, not to escape, but to choose your next inch. Let's tie recess and MVB to performance moments. Before a high-stakes presentation, call recess while everyone is chatting. Turn your body 5 degrees toward a window or a plant, breathe once and whisper your oath. During Q&A, when an ambush ask arrives, run MVB in real time. I can answer at a high level now. For details, I'll follow up by 2. Your tone sits lower, your pace slows. You become the person others trust because your edges are real and your warmth doesn't leak out of them. You will encounter a version of yourself that misses the old medals you earned for being endlessly available. Nostalgia is normal. That part of you kept you safe once. Thank it. You got us here. Rest. I have tools now. Gratitude turns down the inner civil war. Then give that part a job that fits. It can remind you to send the aftercare reset early. It can spot places where a 1-inch move would be kind to your future self. Former overfunctioners make excellent stewards when they stop running the whole town. Tonight, write one minimum viable boundary you will hold tomorrow even if the day tilts. Put it somewhere your eyes will catch it at the moment of risk, on the kettle, at the top of your calendar, as a phone lock screen. Pair it with a 5-word recess prompt, caught in recess. What matters? Before sleep, run a tiny archive audit, 3 sentences where boundaries held and what actually happened. Feel the mattress like a dock and your body like a boat tied well. The wind can rise, the line holds. Remember, you are not training to be unfeeling. You are training to feel fully without abandoning yourself. You are the judge who calls recess, the steward who sets the smallest boundary that keeps the garden alive, the presence who sits with chemistry until it turns to clarity. You are the awareness behind shame's weather, not the cloud itself. Tomorrow will bring asks and old movies. You'll change the showing. With 1 breath, 1 inch, 1 sentence, you'll keep your seat. Today you'll learn to hold your line in fast, messy conversations, the ones where agendas collide, speed is worshipped, and you feel your mouth racing to keep up. Boundaries don't always fail because you're weak. They fail because the setting rewards blur. You'll change the setting from the inside with 2 tools, the integrity envelope and the double-click clarifier. The envelope gives you a pre-written range you can flex within, so you're never inventing a boundary under fire. The double-click turns vague asks into crisp shapes, so your yes or no has edges. You'll also practice a micro-exit, that buys you 60 seconds without drama, because oxygen is a boundary's best friend. Begin with the integrity envelope. Picture a thick, cream-colored envelope you carry inside your chest. On the card tucked inside are 3 lines for a domain you care about: the floor minimum you protect, the ceiling maximum you'll give without trade, and the bridge what you'll offer when asked to go beyond. For deep work you might write, floor 2 90-minute blocks a day protected, ceiling 1 urgent exception a week, bridge if more is needed, we move scope or add help. For family favors, floor 1 ride a week, ceiling 2 with notice. Bridge share the ride's spreadsheet, I'll swap when I can. This isn't bureaucracy, it's prefrontal design. When adrenaline hits, you pull the card and read, not improvise. The amygdala respects prewritten rules the way a pilot respects a checklist in turbulence. Try it now. Whisper 1 domain where blur drains you. Write your floor, your ceiling, your bridge, 3 short lines, not poetry. As you write, notice a small warmth gather behind your sternum, the weight of your phone in your hand, the whisper of air across your inner wrists. You're teaching your body that clarity can feel physical. You are not the pressure in your throat. You are the person sliding a card from an envelope and reading your own limits aloud. A story from a glassy Thursday stand-up. The room smelled like dry erase markers and citrus hand lotion. Nora, a senior engineer, was the designated reliable one. The PM breezed in late and said, "Hey Nora, could you just absorb the auth rewrite? It's small." Nora's inner prosecutor from yesterday's work started citing loyalty clauses. Her chest flickered. She felt the edge of the table under her fingers and pulled out her envelope. Floor 2 high-focus blocks protected. Ceiling 1 urgent exception per week. Bridge, trade, or add help. She used the double-click before answering. When you say small, what's the definition of done and the hour estimate? The PM blinked. Full token refresh tests docs 8 to 10 hours. Nora's prefrontal cortex got the oxygen it needed. Tone low, pace slow, she said, "With that scope, it's over my ceiling this week. Then let's shift feature B or bring in Rahul to pair. The goal is stable auth without burning delivery." The room adjusted. Rahul nodded. The task moved. Nora's jaw loosened like a tiny gear finally finding its groove. The double-click clarifier is simple language that digs into the shape of a request until everyone can see it. You ask crisp, non-defensive questions that force definition. What does done look like? What's the earliest it truly needs to exist? What outcome matters more, speed or quality? What trade are you willing to make? What does excellent, not perfect, require from me? These questions aren't stalling, they're surgery. Vague asks make your nervous system chase approval because nothing is graspable. Specifics let your prefrontal cortex weigh costs and protect flaws. Neuroscience note: specificity reduces prediction error, which lowers cortisol. Lower cortisol frees up working memory for choosing. Practice the double-click in micro. Think of a recent slippery ask. Hear the words in your head. Feel the faint lift of your shoulders and let them drop a centimeter. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Now insert 1 clarifier. When you say ASAP, is that end of day or end of week? Imagine the other person answering. Sense the cool along your inner wrists. You just traded panic for physics. Physics is easier to negotiate than vibes. Let's make the envelope multi-context. For your health, floor 7 hours in bed even if sleep is imperfect. Ceiling 2 late nights a month. Bridge if a late night happens, next morning meetings shift or workload is trimmed. For social life, floor 1 real rest evening a week. Ceiling 3 nights out in a row is off limits. Bridge if an important event crowds rest, you cancel a minor plan. Say these out loud once. Taste each period. Periods are doors clicking shut, not slams. Your body learns the sound of a boundary, that doesn't apologize for existing. Here's a home scene where the envelope kept intimacy intact. In a kitchen that smelled like garlic and rain, Mara's partner, Seb, called from the living room. My sister asked if we can host her friend's Saturday, 10 people, potluck, easy. Host mode Mara would usually sparkle and sprint, then fume quietly. She slid the card from her chest. Floor 1 unscheduled weekend day protected. Ceiling hosting once a month. Bridge, offer space another day or contribute differently. She did a soft double click. What's easy in hours, and what feels most important to your sister, location or togetherness? Seb paused. 2 to 3 hours togetherness. I want that too, she said. We're past our monthly host ceiling. Then let's offer the park or we'll bring mains if it's at theirs. The goal is a relaxed hang without us burning our only free day. Seb nodded, texted, and the plan shifted. The garlic still smelled like home. Their Saturday still felt like theirs. Notice your own throat as you imagine saying those sentences. Is there a hint of tightness near the base? Press your thumb to your middle finger and feel a pulse. That's the vagus nerve listening to you pick design over drama. You are not the flutter in your belly. You're the person who reads a card, asks a question, and chooses a bridge. To support the envelope, install the micro-exit. When a request lands and you feel the surge, you earn 60 seconds without signaling retreat. You stand to refill water, you turn your chair 5 degrees, you write one line on a pad, I'm noting the request. Then you use a pre-written sentence, give me 1 minute to check what this touches. You breathe 1-4-4-6 cycle while your eyes rest on a single anchor point. That minute steals blood back from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex. The difference between reacting and choosing often lives in 60 seconds. A hallway story. Dion, a project coordinator, got cornered after an all-hands. A leader said, "Can you spin up an offsite by next Friday?" The word offsite triggered old hero scripts. Heat rose behind Dion's eyes. Micro-exit. Give me 1 minute to check what this touches. He walked 3 steps to a water station, felt the cool plastic cup bite, breathed and double-clicked. What's the outcome, alignment, strategy, or morale? And what's the minimum viable version? Alignment, the leader said. I guess a 2-hour workshop could do. Dion slid out his envelope. Floor protect existing launch plan, ceiling 1 new event per week, bridge trade a lower value meeting. Then a 2-hour workshop Wednesday works if we cancel the Friday status and shift prep help. The goal is alignment without sacrificing shipment. The leader nodded. Dion's nervous system took off the hero cape and put on a designer's cap. The cape was heavy, the cap fits. Science bridge so your brain trusts this. Your reticular activating system acts like a searchlight for relevance. When you carry an envelope and a set of double-click questions, you tell the RAS what to look for, scope, trade-offs, windows. It starts highlighting details you used to miss. Combine that with breath that lengthens exhale and you activate parasympathetic pathways. Your heart rate variability improves, which correlates with better impulse control. Translation. You get calmer and smarter at the exact moment the room speeds up. Now fortify the envelope with a ritual called seal and stamp. At the start of each week, you say your floors and ceilings aloud, then you stamp them with a tiny sensory act so your body remembers. Press your thumb into your palm for 2 beats after each line. 2 deep work blocks a day, press. 1 urgent exception per week, press. 1 host night this month, press. If you share life with others, hook them in. Our floor is dinner phones down twice this week. Our ceiling is 1 late work night. Our bridge is grocery delivery if we're stretched. Speaking the we builds a shared nervous system that backs your boundary when you wobble. A relationship story where shared stamping mattered. Kai and Ren co-parented and used to drown in last-minute favors to extended family. They wrote a weekend envelope on a sticky note and stuck it to the fridge. When Uncle Ray texted Saturday morning, "Help me move a sofa at noon," Kai felt the tug. Ren tapped the sticky. Floor, family downtime protected till 2. Ceiling, 1 external ask per weekend with 24 hours notice. Bridge, offer a slot Sunday or suggest a mover. Kai double-clicked. Is noon flexible and is it urgent? It was. They offered Sunday at 4. Uncle Ray rented a dolly, did it himself, and thanked them anyway. The house stayed peaceful. The kids noticed their parents' steadiness because steadiness is felt first, explained later. Sensation pause. Let your jaw hang for a second and feel gravity lengthen the muscles. Notice the slight coolness at your nostrils on the inhale and the warmth on the exhale. Feel where your back meets the chair. That quiet is not indulgence. It's prep. Boundaries are carpentry. Stillness is measuring twice, so you cut once. You'll meet pushback that hides inside praise. You're the only one who can do this. It sounds sweet and tastes like a hook. Use the compliment catcher. You catch the praise and set it down gently, then return to envelope facts. I appreciate the trust. With that scope, it's beyond my ceiling this week. Then we can move X or add Y. If they press, you run the broken record from earlier parts once, then exit with a time you'll re-engage. You're not rejecting love. You're refusing to be bribed out of alignment. There's a scene in a non-profit boardroom where this mattered. A donor said to Layla, "You have the magic touch. Could you just run Saturday's gala program?" Her chest rose with the old mix of flattery and dread. Compliment catcher engaged. "Thank you. My envelope this month is maxed. Then I can coach your MC for 30 minutes and share last year's run-of show. The goal is an elegant night that doesn't overextend staff." The donor frowned, then brightened. Coaching helps. Layla left with a spine and a smile. The gala sparkled anyway. To deepen your double-click, add the 3-window check. Ask, what's the 24-hour version, the 7-day version, and the 30-day version of success? This rescales the problem. People default to now because stress compresses time. When you open windows, options appear. Your anterior cingulate stops ringing alarms and starts evaluating paths. You sound like strategy because you are doing strategy. Try it in micro with something on your plate. Pick a request. Ask the 3 windows. Hear your answers. Feel your chest loosen a notch. Your mind prefers paths over cliffs. Sometimes blur comes from inside. Your ambition tries to eat your boundaries because it's hungry. That's not a flaw, it's energy. You'll feed it with the ambition harness. Pair every stretch with a resource and a recovery. Yes to the talk if I get a prep day and a post-talk morning off. Yes to the new client if we sunset a low-fit account. Your dopaminergic drive likes pairs. It stops treating your body like a resource mine and starts treating it like a partner. Boundaries aren't just no's, they're sustainable yeses. A late-night story shows the harness in action. Arjun was asked to guest lecture. He wanted to say yes so badly his teeth hummed. He opened the envelope, saw his sleep floor, and wrote 2 conditions on a sticky: prep afternoon, recovery morning. He double-clicked with the organizer. What's non-negotiable content and what's flexible? Can we book the prep day? They could. He said yes with the harness attached. The lecture was better. The next day he wasn't a ghost. Ambition got to run. The garden didn't get trampled. Sensation check. Rub your thumb and index finger together and feel the ridges catch. Look at one still point across the room. Let your breath lengthen on the exhale by 1 count. You're building the capacity to stay while you negotiate. instead of fawning to end the moment fast. When you inevitably slip, saying yes past your ceiling, use the envelope reissue. Within an hour, send the correction. I overcommitted relative to my ceiling. I can offer X within my floor. Beyond that, we'll need to move Y or pick Z timeline. No self-flagellation, just postal service efficiency, wrong address, corrected route. People don't lose respect when you reissue. They gain trust in your self-governance. Let's stitch everything into one field sequence called click see lask. Click is the double click. Define done, timeline trade. Seal is touching your envelope, floor, ceiling, bridge. Ask is your clean line plus a designed path. To confirm, done is a 2-page brief by Thursday. With my ceiling this week, I can deliver a 1-pager by Thursday or a full brief Monday, which serves the goal. It sounds calm because it is. Sequence calms the limbic system by giving it a script. There's a negotiation story where click see lask shifted the whole room. A client meeting hummed with urgency. Coffee smelled burnt and sweet. The client wanted a scope expansion by Monday. You felt heat flood your neck. You clicked. Definition of done an hour estimate. They named 10 hours. You sealed. Your ceiling was 5. You asked, I can do 5 hours by Monday or 10 by Thursday, which gets you the outcome. They chose 5 now and 5 next week. The meeting exhaled. You left with a spine that felt an inch taller, not because you won, but because you stayed in relationship with yourself while serving the work. Close today with a micro drill called card in mouth. Not literally, but close. Before 3 known pressure points tomorrow, put your envelope card where your eyes will land in the moment. A sticky on the laptop, a note on the fridge, a calendar alert at 11:55. When the ask arrives, you touch the card with 2 fingers for 1 heartbeat, double-click once, and speak 1 sentence that names your floor or bridge. At night, debrief in 3 lines where you used click see lask, what sensations spiked, what you protected. Add 1 gratitude in shadow sentence, grateful that saying less protected more. 1 last sensory beat. Feel the cool air on the inside of your wrists. Notice your tongue soften from the roof of your mouth. Listen for the quietest sound you can hear, then the second quietest. That's your gate and garden humming in the background, your envelope sliding into place, your double-click sharpening the world into workable shapes. You are not training to be rigid. You are training to be precise under speed. You are the awareness that carries a card with your values on it, not the panic that wants to buy peace with your future. You are the designer who turns ASAP into Thursday at 10 with a trade, the leader who offers bridges without surrendering the floorboards. And when the room accelerates, you slow your breath, ask 1 bright question, and put a period at the end of a sentence that represents you. Today you'll level up from holding boundaries to shaping environments so they produce fewer boundary collisions in the first place. This is the difference between constantly catching knives and rearranging the kitchen so knives live where hands don't stumble. You'll learn 2 leadership-grade tools, the signal-to-noise protocol and the decision gate 3. The protocol cleans the channels that feed your nervous system, so you aren't pulled into 100 micro-SEs by stray pings and performative urgency. The gate turns big choices, projects, favors, commitments into a short ritual that keeps you from mortgaging tomorrow for applause today. Together, they move you from personal defense to cultural design. They also make you the person whose clarity calms rooms without you lifting your voice. Start with the signal-to-noise protocol. Your brain is an antenna. People-pleasing amps every signal until even whispers feel like sirens. The protocol turns down noise at 3 levels: inputs, intervals, interpretation. Inputs are what reaches you, intervals are when, interpretation is the story you attach. You reduce inputs you don't own, bundle the ones you do into predictable intervals, and narrate each bundle with a neutral caption so limbic alarms don't hijack your breath. Practically, this means you route non-critical messages to a digest, you read digests at set times, and you label what you see. Inbox triage, not judgment. Your reticular activating system listens to captions, give it a job, and it stops hunting for danger in every ellipsis bubble. There's a Tuesday story with fluorescent lights and the faint smell of dry erase. Aya, a product lead, felt like a tuning fork struck all day by Slack, email, and calendar stutters. By 2 p.m., she was a yes machine with frayed edges. She installed the protocol. Inputs, all channels except a single red line alias rolled to a 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. digest. The red line was for true blockers. Intervals, triage at 10, 15, and 3:15, 10 minutes each, timer set. Interpretation. As she opened each digest, she whispered, sorting nuts and bolts, not proving worth. The first week, her chest kept trying to sprint. The 4-4-6 breath lock slowed it. By Friday, Aya noticed she said fewer accidental yesies because fewer stray pings slipped past the gate. Senior leadership didn't notice fewer replies, they noticed sharper ones. Her team stopped mistaking her availability for approval and started bringing her context instead of chaos. Notice your own signals now. Where do they enter? Phone, wrist, laptop, doorway. Place one hand at your throat, the other at your lower belly. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Imagine sliding a dimmer on each input until only one channel glows. Let that be the one you'll check at your next chosen interval. Feel your shoulders drop a ½ centimeter, as if a coat slid from a hook. You are not the Blair, you are the one adjusting the dial. The second tool, Decision Gate 3, is a tiny ritual that keeps big choices honest. Before you commit, you pass through 3 gates: fit, fuel, and future. Fit asks, does this align with my values and current roadmap? Fuel asks, do I have the energy, time, and support to do this well without self-betrayal? Future asks, how will this choice echo in 6 weeks? What will it cost or compound? Each gate has one sentence you speak aloud because your prefrontal cortex perks up when it hears your voice. If a gate fails, you either reshape the ask or walk away with a bridge. This is not hesitation theater. It's architecture that protects your promise to show up with quality. A hallway story shows the gate at work. The corridor was cool, a hum from vents ran under everything. Darian, a brilliant overfunctioner, was offered the lead on a cross-region initiative. The title glittered. Old Darian's yes was halfway to his mouth. He touched the gate, literal thumb to fingertip, and walked himself through Gate 3, speaking under his breath. Fit, this aligns with impact, but not with my home base goal this quarter. Fuel, energy is at 70%, team is down 1. Future, in 6 weeks, this steals 2 mornings and a weekend unless we add help. He looked up. I want this to succeed. I can lead if we narrow scope to pilot and assign a coordinator, or I'll consult while Morgan leads. Which outcome do you prefer? The director blinked, then chose pilot plus coordinator. Darian left the corridor standing inside himself. The initiative landed crisp, not heroic. The glitter stayed, the garden didn't burn. The protocol and gate need a place to live, so you'll lay a boundary on the calendar called the quiet spine. It's a daily line of 2 protected blocks where signal to noise stays low and Gate 3 can do its job. You'll defend those blocks with the same seriousness you defend doctor appointments, because these are appointments with the doctor that is your prefrontal cortex. Pencil them in at times your mind is brightest. If pushback arrives, you use precision mirrors and the 3-door negotiation. Protecting my quiet spine keeps quality high. We can move it for emergencies by trading X, or keep it and deliver Y on time. Which door helps the goal? Rooms adjust when spines stay quiet. Take a sensory beat. Feel the skin on your inner wrists cool as air passes. Notice the chair's edge under your thighs. Let your tongue rest low in your mouth, as if it were heavy with trust. These details are not garnish. They're the way you tell your nervous system that deliberate thinking is safe. Let's pair these tools with relationships, where noise often disguises itself as love. You'll create a family signal map, one text thread for logistics, one for celebration, one for emergencies only. You name the intervals. I read logistics at lunch, celebrations anytime I want, emergencies ring. You deliver this kindly. This helps me be present. When Aunt Mia drops an urgent meme at midnight, you apply interpretation. This is a celebration ping, not a summon, and you don't respond until your interval. Your body will want to answer to quiet its alarm. The alarm is old. You are the awareness who rewires it with repetition. A living room story where this mattered. Joe and their partner, Liv, pinged each other constantly during workdays with tiny asks that felt like connection but bled focus. They drew a signal map on a sticky note, 2 check-ins, noon and 5. Red flag equals 911 for real needs. The first week felt like a hunger pang, the second felt like a deeper breath. They showed up at noon with full faces, not half attention. Their fights dropped because they stopped mistaking instant replies for care. That is boundary alchemy, less noise, more presence. Bring the gate into friendship, where FOMO dresses up as generosity. You receive an invite that sparks the old yes. Concert tonight, road trip this weekend, we miss you, come through. You stand by the window, feel the cool pain with your palm and walk gate 3. Fit, togetherness yes, timing no. Fuel, social battery at 40%. Future, Sunday's prep will fray. You reply, I'll pass tonight and plan for next Friday so I can be there with a good brain. Your friend may pout or shrug. Your nervous system will try a guilt flare. You run the 90-second alchemy, heat in cheeks, hollow at sternum, protecting what lets me show up well. 90 seconds later, the flare fades. You didn't choose exile, you chose integrity. Sensation check. Listen for the farthest sound you can catch, the faint hiss of HVAC, a car outside, a neighbor's step. Then find the nearest sound, your breath, a paper shift. This near-far toggle widens attention, which widens options. Options are where boundaries live. Add the protocol to meetings, where noise breeds by default. You'll set a meeting signal packed with your team, cameras on when decisions matter, off for non-visual updates, one decision doc open for clarifying questions, a 5-minute then and goal close that names owners, bounds, and why. This pact reduces mid-meeting people-pleasing, no more jumping in to smooth every silence. Silence becomes a tool, questions become bright, outcomes become owned. Your body recognizes the feeling, less scramble, more spine. Here's a story with a whiteboard and a citrus hand lotion ghosting the air. Priyanka used to fill every gap with I can take that, then resent it. She brought the pact and gate 3 to her cross-functional. At the end, the room dipped into its usual awkward, who will? She waited on purpose, breathed, and asked the gate questions aloud. Fit, which option aligns with our quarter goals? Fuel, who has bandwidth? Future, what slips if we shift? The quiet turned into thinking, not guilt. 2 tasks moved to better homes. One was deliberately parked. Priyanka didn't carry the meeting out on her back. She carried herself out of the meeting. Noise also comes from inside. The scrolling mind, the rehearsed arguments, the sudden itch to check if you disappointed someone. You'll use the one-window rule, one mental window open at a time. If you're in a conversation, that's the window. If your mind opens another, email self-critique, you label the pop-up noise, and imagine clicking a tiny X-parrot with a physical anchor. Press both big toes gently into the ground. Your anterior cingulate will try to tab switch anyway. Keep closing tabs. Boundaries are sometimes nothing more than 1,000 tiny X's over a day. Let's go to a moment where Gate 3 saves you from a self-sabotaging yes wrapped in prestige. An industry panel invites you to speak Saturday at 8 a.m. across town. The email flatters, your chest buzzes. You stand, walk to the sink, feel cold water rinse your fingers and gate it. Fit, good exposure off strategy. Fuel, week already heavy. Future, Monday quality would pay the bill. You write, honored, my calendar is committed. I can do a weekday virtual or the next event. If you need Saturday, please invite Nina, she's excellent. You pass the spotlight like a leader with a long game. The glow you feel later isn't adrenaline, it's self-trust. A sensory beat to seal this in. Place 2 fingers at the base of your throat. Feel warmth, swallow once, notice the tiny slide inside. Breathe as if your ribs were doors opening outward. On the exhale, taste the end of a sentence that is a period, not a paragraph. Your mouth is learning the sound of integrity. Now practice a microdrill called 2 intervals, 1 caption. Pick the noisiest channel in your life, Slack, WhatsApp, email, a shared family thread. Choose 2 times you'll engage today. When the time arrives, say a caption aloud before you open. Triage and sort, not perform. Process. When you're done, close hard. If a ping arrives outside your interval, you breathe once and say inside. Outside the interval is not a fire. If you slip, send an aftercare reset to yourself. Noted the lake, back to the spine. Tie Gate 3 to money, where people-pleasing loves to overtip time. A client asks for just 1 more without budget shift. Fit, scope creep breaks trust. Fuel, team at 90%. Future, we'll train them to expect freebies. You say, we can add that with a change order or swap this deliverable which serves the outcome. Your voice sits low, your pace stays slow. You're not stingy, you're stewarding value. The client may test the weld once, then they respect the architecture or they reveal misalignment you needed to see. At home, apply Gate 3 to care. Your parent needs more help. Your chest tightens. Fit, family is core, so is work. Fuel, you can give 3 hours weekly without collapse. Future, if you do 8, resentment grows. You design, I'll do Wednesdays 6-9 and set up a rotating calendar for the rest. If crises spike, we'll hire overnight help for 2 weeks. You are not abandoning. You are creating a sustainable version of love. Love lasts longer inside clear lines. Sensation check. Let your eyes rest on 1 point in the room. Hear your breath at the back of your throat, a soft hush. Feel the weight of your heels pressed down. This is the feeling of a quiet spine, unglamorous, sturdy, available for the moment that matters. You'll meet a day when noise wins before breakfast. You doom scroll, you answer 2 pings before your interval, you volunteer for a thing you didn't mean to. Use the noon reset. At midday, take 90 seconds. Stand if you can, put a hand on your chest and 1 on your belly. Say, caught in recess. Breathe, whisper your floor and ceiling for the rest of the day. Gate 1 decision that still lies ahead. Then return. The point isn't perfection. It's noticing. The grown-up superpower that lets you steer instead of being dragged. We need 1 more bridge, compassionate containment. When someone spirals and tries to pull you into their storm, you acknowledge the weather and put it in a container with a time and next step. I hear this is heavy. I have 10 minutes now or 30 at 2, which helps. If they want more now, you repeat once, then exit with care. I'll be more useful at 2. You did abandon. You refused to drown together. Your nervous system will flare, you'll feel heat in your neck or a flutter in your stomach. Narrate it for 90 seconds. The flare dims, you still care. A last story, this one in a windowed conference room overlooking grey clouds. The quarterly review ran hot. A senior partner tried to make quality the casualty of hurry. We'll shave testing, ship Friday. Old Myra would have bought peace with a yes and paid for it with weekends. New Myra felt the chair under her, her tongue rested low. Signal to noise was already in place. The room's chaos didn't crawl under her skin. Gate 3 ran in her head. Fit failed, fuel failed, future screamed. She spoke low and slow. Shaving testing breaks our values and will cost us 2 clients in 6 weeks. We can ship a smaller slice Friday or keep scope and move the date. Which achieves the real goal? Silence. Then a nod. Scope shrank, trust didn't. After a teammate whispered, "I didn't know you could say that." Myra smiled. "Me neither, until I wrote it down." Close today with a ritual called spine and seal. Before sleep, open your notes and write 3 lines. The signal you turned down, the gate you held, the future cost you dodged. Put your hand on your chest and your belly. Breathe so only the lower hand rises. Whisper, "I design my inputs. I test my decisions. I keep the future in the room." Feel the mattress support you, a dock holding a boat on a changing tide. The tide moves, the dock remains. Tomorrow noise will try to make you hurry, you will dim it. Options will masquerade as obligations, you will gate them. Your calendar will test your quiet spine, you will defend it like the power plant it is. And when you forget, you'll remember by noon and reset. You are not the ping, you are the person who chooses when to answer. You are not the sales pitch for your worth. You are the architect who designs rooms where your worth can work. You are the awareness behind the weather, and these tools are your barometer, your levee, your sun after the storm. Today you'll master the boundary most people never learn, how to stay clear when reputation is on the line. You can hold a limit in a quiet room. Can you hold it when someone questions your character, hints you're not a team player, or implies love is conditional? This is where people-pleasing tries its final tricks. We'll install 2 frameworks to carry you through, the reputation sandbox and the consequence ladder. The sandbox protects you from building castles for other people's storms. The ladder shows you how to escalate cleanly, calmly, proportionally, when a boundary keeps getting crossed. You'll also practice a written form of your boundary voice so your words stand when the moment spins. By the end, you'll feel a steadier spine in rooms where judgments fly and old approval habits used to run the show. Begin with the reputation sandbox. Picture a square of soft, contained ground, a place where narratives get to play without trampling your life. The sandbox has 4 walls: facts, impact, values, offer. Facts are what happened without adjectives. Impact is what it did to outcomes or well-being. Values are the principles you're protecting. Offer is the bridge you extend. Inside the sandbox, you shape reputation instead of chasing it. Outside, you fight rumors with overwork and over-explanation. The amygdala loves outside. It senses social threat and kicks your body to sprint. The sandbox keeps blood in your prefrontal cortex by giving it a job: organize, not beg. Try it in micro. Think of a time someone implied your boundary was selfish. Feel the heat rise under your cheeks, the small thrum near the base of your throat. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Now lay sand. Facts: I declined a Saturday meeting. Impact: my rest protected Monday delivery, the deck shipped clean. Values: sustainable excellence. Offer: I can review a 1-pager Friday by 4. Speak the 4 lines aloud, low and even, as if setting bricks. Notice the way your shoulders descend a centimeter. You didn't perform, you placed. A story from an open office that smelled faintly of coffee and printer heat. Kofi had become the informal yes person, and people liked that identity until Kofi's new boundary disrupted it. After 3 weeks of clear no's and contingent yeses, a colleague joked in a meeting, "Guess we have a boundaries guru now, too important for weekend crunch." Laughter skittered around the table. Kofi's ribs cinched. Old reflex, laugh along, overcommit to redeem reputation. New reflex, sandbox. He touched thumb to fingertip, felt the pulse, and spoke inside the four walls. Fact, I'm off weekends unless we've planned a trade. Impact, I showed up Monday with a fix we shipped same day. Value, dependable quality. Offer, I can prep a test plan by 4 today so Monday isn't chaos. His tone was warm, pace slow. The room pivoted. The joke died a quiet death. Kofi didn't swing at it, he set the frame. Reputation adjusted around the frame. Sensation check. Let your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Feel the air cool your inner wrists. Listen for the farthest sound in your space, an HVAC hush, a car, a chair leg slide. Your nervous system learns safety through this kind of noticing. Safety lets you place sand instead of flinging it. The second framework is the consequence ladder. Boundaries without consequences are wishes. The ladder has 4 rungs you climb only as needed. Remind, reset, restrict, remove. Remind is a gentle nudge, state the agreement. Reset is a clear restatement plus a next step change. Restrict is reducing access or privileges to protect your values and capacity. Remove is exiting the situation, escalation, reassignment, or ending an arrangement. Most people pleasers leap from remind to resent. The ladder gives you steps so you don't explode or fold. Pair the ladder with biology. Your brain's prediction machinery calms when rules are consistent. Every time you apply the same rung to the same behavior, the other nervous system learns. You aren't punishing, you're teaching physics. Doors open, doors close. Weather passes, structures remain. An anecdote from a startup where urgency was a religion. Daria-led design, and the sales lead loved just one more change after sign-off. Round 1, Daria used remind. We're past sign-off, changes go to next sprint. Round 2, she used reset. We agreed to freeze, any change starts a new ticket Monday. Round 3, still pressured Friday at 5:12 p.m. She climbed to restrict. I'm freezing design files at 5. Edits go to the backlog, I'll unfreeze Monday. If you paste notes after 5, the board auto-moves them to next. She followed through, files read only, board automation on, pushback flared. She narrated her weather for 90 seconds, heat in cheeks, buzz in jaw, and kept the policy. The team learned. Scope creep dropped. 2 months later, revenue rose because work shipped. When a rare emergency hit, Daria knowingly chose remove for herself for 2 hours. She opted out of dinner plans, named the trade, and ran the fix. Power is choosing when you bend and naming why. Take a breath you can hear at the back of your throat, like fogging a mirror gently. Feel the chair's edge under your thighs. Put your palm against your sternum and notice warmth meeting warmth. You are the awareness noticing heat without letting it run your calendar. Reputation anxiety spikes most when feedback arrives hot. You'll use a tool called the signal and sieve. Signal is the 10–20% of feedback that improves the work. Sieve catches the rest, tone, projection, power plays. You ask 3 sieve questions. Is this about the work, the timeline, or their comfort? What in this improves quality? What belongs to their weather? Answer in writing before you respond. Writing steals adrenaline from your mouth and gives it to your prefrontal cortex. Then respond inside the sandbox. This is not about being above feedback, it's about metabolizing it without self-erasure. A hallway story, Leela's manager wrote, "Your boundary about off hours is hurting team spirit." The phrase hit like a slap. Leela's stomach hollowed. Signal and Civ engaged. Work, no timeline, maybe comfort, likely improvement. Clarify coverage for true emergencies. Weather, manager equates availability with loyalty. Leela drafted a sandbox reply. Facts. In the last 6 weeks, I've met deadlines and improved QA pass rate 14%. Impact, protected off hours sharpened my Monday output. Values, reliability and clear escalation paths. Offer, let's define a small on-call rotation so true emergencies get speed without burning everyone. She read it once, felt the cool at her wrists, and sent. The conversation moved from her personality to process. Reputation unhooked from approval and reattached to results. Sensation beat. Roll your shoulders once, slow as a tide. Notice the temperature difference between inhale and exhale at your nostrils. Name one color in your field of view. You're stacking cues that your mind associates with choice. Now we'll craft the written voice that holds when real-time phrase, the inked boundary. Choose a recurring pressure point, late pings, drop-in visits, quick favors. Write 3 versions, warm, clean, no, contingent, yes, and then and goal. Keep it short. Warm, clean, no, I'm not available tonight. Then I can give this my best at 10 tomorrow. The goal is quality over speed. Contingent, yes. Yes if we trade the Tuesday check-in. Otherwise, I'll miss the standard we need. Then and goal only, no for this week. Then I can connect you with a or slot it next Wednesday. The goal is shipping without burnout. Save them as snippets. Your future mouth will thank your past keyboard. Small domestic story. In a living room where the lamp made a pool of warm gold and the air smelled faintly of detergent, Sam's cousin texted, "Can you design our wedding invite tonight? So tiny." Old Sam would have caffeinated and rescented. New Sam pasted an inked boundary. "I'm not available tonight. Then I can share 3 templates Friday. The goal is a design you love without a tired designer." The cousin sent a heart and a laughing fair. Sam's chest did not buzz. Sleep arrived on time. Your brain likes rituals that mark identity. Add one called the reputation reset. When someone hints that your boundary is selfish, you take 10 seconds, eyes down, breath long, and whisper, kind and clear. Then you state your value out loud once. "I'm the person who protects what lets me deliver." Identity-level statements recruit the brain's default mode network. Over time, they shape what your mouth says under heat. You're not hypnotizing yourself. You're teaching memory to serve you, not shame you. It's time to climb the consequence ladder with an example that ends in remove with dignity. Nor chaired a volunteer board where last-minute asks were chronic. She installed Remind and Reset for months and used Restrict by refusing to schedule outside a shared calendar. A member kept bypassing agreements, guilt-pinging her at odd hours, nor wrote an inked boundary plus a final rung. We've named our process and timelines. When they're bypassed, quality drops and volunteer hours burn. I'm restricting responses to the shared thread. If the process doesn't work for you, I'll step back after this quarter so the board can choose a chair with a different approach. She meant it, remove, not threat. The member adjusted. And if they hadn't, Nor's dignity had an exit ramp that honored the mission. Removing yourself is not abandonment when the system refuses clarity. It's stewardship of your own life. Sensation check. Touch the pads of your fingers together and feel the tiny ridges catch. Let your jaw hang for a heartbeat and notice the muscles lengthen. Feel the fabric against your shoulders. Your body is the stage where your boundaries perform. Treat it like a theater you keep clean. You'll also practice a reputation drill called the 2 witnesses. When you fear what they'll think, You choose two actual humans whose opinion you respect, one at work, one in life, and you imagine explaining your boundary in the sandbox to them. Would they nod? What edit would they suggest? This replaces a faceless jury with a human counsel. Your amygdala downshifts when faces become specific and kind. Later, if needed, you show your inked boundary to one of them and ask for a line edit. You are building a cabinet, not a chorus. Let's put it all in a high-heat scene. The conference room is cold. Citrus hand lotion ghosts the air. A senior exec says, "We need weekend coverage, real team players lean in." You feel the old gavel fall inside your head. Court is in recess. Gate 3 whispers, "Fit misaligned with our stated well-being value, fuel team at 80%, future burnout risk in 6 weeks. Sandbox in your mouth, fact, the team hit the last 3 deadlines. Impact, we're noticing fray Monday after weekend work. Value, sustainable performance. Offer, define a rotating on-call with comp time or move scope, which serves the goal. Your voice is low, pace unhurried. You didn't accuse, you framed. If pushback repeats next week, you climb the ladder, reset, then restrict, publish on-call rules. If it still repeats, you remove by escalating with outcomes and options or by choosing a new environment. Reputation follows clarity over time. Environments that punish clarity reveal themselves. You choose accordingly. Science bridge. Reputation threats feel like physical pain because social pain shares circuits with nociception. Your anterior cingulate lights up. That's why a joke at your expense stings under the skin. The cure isn't numbness, it's naming and structure. When you run Sandbox and Ladder, you shift processing to networks that plan and predict. Heart rate variability steadies. Your RAS searches for options instead of danger. You don't control their weather, you do control your roof. Now a micro-ritual called the cold glass. Before any meeting where status pressure might push you to buy belonging, hold a cool glass of water for 5 breaths. Feel the condensation on your fingertips, the weight in your palm. Cold engages interoceptive pathways that anchor attention to the body. You drink once, swallow slowly, and feel the slide. Then you speak one identity line, kind and clear. That's it. The glass is a pre-flight check. Planes fly better with pre-flight. A family table story. The dining room smells like cilantro and roasted chicken. An uncle says, "You think you're too good for us now that you have boundaries." Eyes turn. Old you would joke and offer to host next weekend as penance. New you runs Signal and Civ and the Sandbox. Fact, I've stopped saying yes to next day plans. Impact, I show up more present when we plan. Value, showing up well. Offer, next Saturday morning is free for me. You keep your shoulders down and your tone warm. If he jabs again next month, you climb the ladder, restrict. You step out early from events where the jabs repeat after naming why once. You do not wage war, you remove fuel. Sensation beat. Hear the softest sound in your room. Feel the weight of your heels. Name one scent, even if it's faint. The paper, the air, your sleeve. You're giving your nervous system a place to sit while emotions pass. You'll practice a 24-hour exercise called Sand and Steps. Today, pick one relationship where reputation anxiety is loud. Write a sandbox for the last tense moment. Then write the first 2 rungs of a ladder you would apply if it repeats. Share none of this if it's unsafe to do so, it's for your spine. Then send one inked boundary, short, warm, precise, in a context that fits. At night, run the boundary debrief. What you said, what your body felt in the first 90 seconds, what happened to the story in your head. Give yourself a gratitude in shadow sentence. Grateful that discomfort meant I chose alignment. There will be days when you're tempted to wage a campaign to fix your image. That's a treadmill that eats years. Choose a different metric. Integrity rep is how many times per week you protect what lets you be generous. Track it like steps. 3 reps this week, good. 5 next, better. Your inner weather forecast brightens when you count integrity, not applause. We'll close with the written oath you can slip in your wallet. Facts over fears. Values before vibes. Offers, not overwork. Consequences, not complaints. Read it once when the room feels tight. Taste the period at the end of each sentence. Periods are doors clicking shut on the draft that used to blow your life around. Feel your breath now cool in, warmer out. Notice the thin band of muscle across the back of your shoulders let go a notch. Visualize your sandbox as a square of light on the floor. In it you stand steady, kind, and precise. Outside, weather moves. Inside, you make sentences that fit your values, you climb rungs without rage, and you write messages that carry your voice even when you're tired. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the court that never adjourns. You call recess. You set the frame. You walk the ladder one rung at a time. That is leadership that turns reputation from a leash into a lantern you carry. Today you'll learn to keep your boundaries alive across seasons, not just days. Anyone can hold a line for a week. Real leadership is tending those lines through busy quarters, quiet months, grief, growth, and the strange in between. This is where people-pleasing sneaks back in dressed as noble sacrifice or nostalgic routine. You'll install 2 frameworks that make your limits adaptive, not brittle. The capacity seasons map and the joyful yes filter. The map helps you name the season you're in and right-size your promises. The filter teaches you how to say a full-blooded yes without mortgaging tomorrow. We'll braid them to a crisis-ready tool, the emergency circle, so even when life hits hard, your clarity doesn't collapse. By the end, you'll feel a steadier cadence, not rigid, not laky, seasonal and strong. Start with the capacity seasons map. Imagine your energy and attention as a landscape that changes with weather. There are 4 seasons. Build is spring, new projects, curiosity high, bandwidth flexible. Push is summer, output high, stakes visible, heat rising. Mend is autumn, harvest, consolidation, repair. Deepen is winter, rest, reflection, skill building under the snow. Most boundary failures happen when you pretend it's summer forever or act like it's spring when winter has you wrapped. The map has 3 moves. Declare your season, draw seasonal limits, set a review date. Declaring tells your reticular activating system what to prioritize. Limits keep you from promising beyond your soil. Review dates prevent self-gaslighting because people-pleasers love to forget they were tired. There's a story in a studio with big windows and the soft smell of sawdust and citrus cleaner. Talia ran an independent furniture shop and was everyone's favorite yes. Q2 sparkled with orders. By July, her chest buzzed like it had swallowed bees. She mapped her season, push. Seasonal limit. No custom rushes, 2 nights a week off limits, 1 weekend per month protected. Review date, August 15. She printed the map, taped it behind the register, and crafted an inked boundary to match. Rushes resume September, current orders ship on time. The first weekend, she felt failure drip like sweat down her spine when she closed at 5 while 2 customers tapped the glass. She put her palm on the cool metal door, breathed 446, and whispered, push, not blade. Monday, her output was clean. August 15 arrived. She checked the map and moved from push to mend, opened 2 rush slots, and scheduled a day to sharpen tools. The map didn't make her small, it made her durable. Try the map in micro. Close your eyes for 5 seconds. Feel the temperature of air on your cheeks. Listen for 1 far sound and 1 near sound. Ask, build, push, mend, or deepen. Say it out loud. I'm in mend, or I'm in deepen. Draw one seasonal limit. No new cross-functional projects till month end, or 3 nights this week are for rest. Set a review date and put it on your calendar with a verb, reassess season. You feel your shoulders lower a notch, like a coat slid from a hook. You are not the weather. You are the keeper of the garden that knows when to plant and when to let fields lie fallow. Now for the joyful yes filter. People pleasers often swing from chronic yes to brittle no. The filter returns you to the heart of why boundaries exist, to make room for the yesies that light you up without burning you down. The filter has 4 lenses: alignment, appetite, aftercare, and arc. Alignment asks, does this serve my values and current season? Appetite asks, do I feel a spark in my ribs, not just obligation? Aftercare asks, can I name how I'll recover, sleep, buffer, support? Arc asks, how does this bend my next 6 weeks? What compounding effect will it have? A joyful yes passes all 4. If one fails, you redesign or decline with a bridge. This is not indulgence. It's stewardship of the engine that lets you be generous for years, not days. A Wednesday evening story. The apartment smelled like basil and steam. Eli's mentor offered a last-minute panel slot that teenage Eli would have killed for. His amygdala fired confetti cannons. His chest shook with the old need to be seen. He ran the filter. Alignment, yes, his work aims to teach. Appetite, yes, a dance in the ribs. Aftercare, no plan. Arc, if he said yes without aftercare, sleep would tank and Friday's deliverable would wobble. He texted, I'm thrilled. I'll do it if we can shift to a morning slot, or if I can move Friday's review to Monday so I serve both well. If not, I'll pass and join next month. The organizer shifted the slot. Eli stacked a nap and a quiet dinner after. He spoke with clear eyes and woke steady. Joyful yes, not a nervous system IOU. Notice your body as you picture a joyful yes. Feel the warmth at the base of your throat. Let your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Inhale like your ribs are sliding sideways. Exhale longer, fogging an invisible window. Say, I only chase yesies I can recover from. Taste the period at the end. Periods are doors clicking, not slamming. Seasons and yesies meet reality when life throws a wrench. Enter the emergency circle. This is your crisis protocol when sickness, layoffs, grief, or surprise opportunity hits. The circle has 3 rings. Inner ring, must keep boundaries that prevent collapse, sleep window medication, 1 quiet spine block, food that isn't a negotiation. Middle ring, adjustable commitments, social plans, non-critical projects, extras you'll pause or reassign. Outer ring, offers and favors you will automatically decline or defer. You announce your circle internally and, where safe, externally. You replace explanations with simple signals. I'm in emergency circle mode through the 12th. My inner ring is sleep and the morning block. Everything else gets trade or deferral. Circles protect dignity when your brain is too flooded to negotiate. In a kitchen at 9:43 p.m., the room smelled like dish soap and lemon. A notification lit the screen: layoffs. Nisha survived, but her team halved. Old Nisha sprinted, boundaries evaporated in adrenaline. New Nisha drew her circle. Inner, 7 hours in bed, 1 90-minute quiet spine, 20 minutes of movement. Middle, paused weekly lunch, dropped 2 committees, moved 3 deadlines with bridges. Outer, automatic no to quick coffee requests. She wrote 1 inked boundary, emergency circle through next Friday. I'm protecting sleep and a daily deep work block to stabilize delivery. I'll revisit on the 18th. If you need me fast, use the red line. The first morning, she woke with a stone on her sternum and a metallic taste of fear. She put a hand on her chest and belly, breathed 446, and read her circle like a recipe. 2 weeks later, the stone was a pebble. The team's output stabilized. Dignity lived through the surge. Sensation beat. Press thumb to middle finger for 2 pulses. Feel the cool at your inner wrists. Hear the softest sound in your room, the HVAC, a distant car, a fridge hum. You're teaching your nervous system that crisis can ride inside structure. Your identity will evolve with seasons. We'll add a tool to anchor growth, the boundary continuum. Picture a line labeled fawn, right arrow firm, right arrow fluid. Fawn is old autopilot, yes to buy safety. Firm is training wheels, clear no yes, minimal negotiation. Fluid is mastery, creative trades, joyful yeses, clarity under speed. You don't live at fluid forever. You slide along the line based on season and context. The skill is naming where you are without shame. I'm infirm at work while I heal, fluid at home on weekends, fawn pops when dad calls. Naming removes judgment and brings choice. Choice widens the window for neuroplasticity. Your brain updates at the speed of honest reps. There's a story, soft evening light across a couch, faint detergent in the air. Aria had lived at fawn with her mother, who equated availability with love. After weeks of practicing firm and fluid elsewhere, Aria called her season deepen. She told herself the continuum aloud. When her mother asked for a same-night ride across town, Aria felt the old pull in her diaphragm. She named fawn rising. She breathed, said, I can't tonight. I can do Saturday at 10 or schedule a car for you now. Her mother huffed. Aria's cheeks warmed. 90 seconds later the weather passed. Saturday worked. The continuum didn't make her cold. It made her honest and available in ways that lasted. Now stitch the joyful yes filter to your career arc, because ambition without boundaries is just a prettier form of people-pleasing. Use the ambition ledger. Once a month, list potential yeses that advance your craft. Run each through alignment, appetite, aftercare, arc. Write 1 sentence for how a joyful yes changes the next 6 weeks. Say yes to publishing the paper. Shift 2 admin tasks. Aftercare, a long weekend. Say yes to mentoring. Reduce 1 speaking gig. Aftercare, protected Tuesdays. The ledger turns dreams into designed commitments. Design tames the urge to prove. A workplace story with fluorescent light and the faint smell of dry erase. Matteo was invited to co-lead a new product. The title gleamed like a medal he'd long imagined. The season was mend after a bruising quarter. He ran the ledger. Alignment, yes. Appetite, fierce, yes. Aftercare, non-existent. Arc, dangerous. He wrote, joyful yes if I get a dedicated PM, a half-day prep per week, and comp time after launch. He made the counter-ask. He expected rejection. He got negotiation and finally agreement. Launch landed. Matteo didn't need a week of muteness to recover. Joy tasted like clean water, not like cotton mouth and ringing ears. Sensation pause. Let your jaw hang for 1 count and feel the tiny lengthening along the side muscles. Notice the chair's edge under your thighs. Exhale like fogging glass. You're making room in your body for decisions that match your life, not someone else's applause. Boundary systems need maintenance, like instruments. Install the seasonal audit, a 30-minute ritual every 6 to 8 weeks where you step into your sanctuary room, sip water, and run 5 spoken lines. Season now is floors and ceilings that fit are 1 emergency circle note I'll draft before I need it is 3 joyful yes criteria I refuse to skip are a relationship where I'll shift from fawn to firm is. No journaling flourish if you don't want it. just spoken lines and one calendar nudge. The nervous system respects cadence. Cadence births trust. Trust is how boundaries become unremarkable. A hard season story, grief. The apartment smelled like lilies wilting and old coffee. Dav's father died on a Wednesday. Condolences poured in next to quick favor, pings that didn't know. Dav's old self would hide in helpfulness to avoid feeling. New Dav, trembling, drew an emergency circle and sent one message. I'm in bereavement through the 28th. Inner ring is family and sleep. I'll respond in batches. For anything urgent, reach Alex. The first night he woke at 3:11 a.m. to a thumping heart and a swirl of guilt. He put a hand on his sternum, the bone warm under skin, and whispered, I am the awareness, not the storm. He named what he felt like weather, wave of sadness, gust of fear, sleet of anger. He didn't reply to anything. In the morning, he read a note he had pre-written in his seasonal audit for exactly this. In grief, I protect silence and tiny routines. I let others carry me. I let work wait. He carried himself through the season he was actually in. The world kept turning. His center did not vanish. Later, when build returned, his yeses meant more. When seasons shift, renegotiation must follow. Use the re-entry handshake. After deepen or mend, you return to build with a message that sets your flaws and a small, joyful ask. I'm back to build this month. 2 deep work blocks are protected. I'll take on 1 new collaboration. I want to pilot the noon-free experiment. The handshake serves both, you with rails, others with a clear map. Without it, your old role will swallow your new season. There's a corridor scene smelling faintly of printer heat. Jules returned from leave. Old patterns waited with open jaws. She shook hands with her future. My season is build. Floor 1 quiet spine block. Ceiling 1 late night a week. Bridge if urgent we move scope. Joyful yes, I'll teach a weekly workshop. Review in 3 weeks. Her manager blinked, then matched trade-offs. 3 weeks later, review held, boundaries adjusted. Jules didn't bargain for a place, she designed one. We need to talk about creative work and boundaries because the myth says art requires chaos. False. It requires containers wide enough for wonder and tight enough for finish lines. Use the 2-room studio. 1 room is wild, play, exploration, messy drafts. The other is wise, editing, shipping, scheduling. Boundary failure happens when you try to be both in a single hour. You'll block wild during your season's best window and protect it like a tender plant. You'll block wise when your brain wants closure. When a request invades wild, you offer the wise door. I'm in sketch mode. I can give you a review Friday. Your work becomes braver because your nervous system knows it won't be yanked mid-flow to manage someone else's urgency. A studio story echoes this. In a room with paint, rag scents and late light, Emil's wild window was 7:09 a.m. Her phone off, kettle hissed, pencils whispered. An email landed at 7:12. We need a bio now. Old Emil would fracture so fast she'd feel it like a crack. New Emil stayed in wild. At 9:05, she slipped into wise mode and sent an inked boundary. I'll send a polished bio by noon. If you need a draft now, it will be rough. Noon worked. The sketch from wild glowed. The bio was honest. The day kept its rooms. Sensation beat. Rub your thumb across your index finger. Feel the faint rasp of skin ridges. Tilt your head slightly and listen to the room's smallest sound. Unclench the back of your tongue. This is the frictionless hinge that lets you move between rooms without losing yourself in the doorway. Sometimes seasons change faster than the calendar. Illness, opportunity, breakup, windfall. You'll use the detachment dial, a mental slider from 0-10 that measures how attached you are to any outcome. At 8:10, people-pleasing thrives. You bargain with yourself and others to avoid loss. At 3:05, you can negotiate. At 02, you're indifferent, not ideal for love or craft. Before a boundary conversation, name your dial. I'm at 7. Breathe until you drop it 2 clicks. Now 5. Then you speak. Detachment isn't apathy, it's oxygen. Oxygen keeps your tone low and your pace slow, the sounds of a nervous system that trusts itself to survive. No. In a glass-walled meeting, Sora pitched a project dear to her ribs. The exec asked to add a rushed feature. Sora felt the dial spike to 9, attachment tugging her toward anything you want. She breathed, pressed thumb to finger, watched for 90 seconds as heat climbed and eased. Dial dropped to 5. I care about this direction, she said. Adding X breaks our season's push limits. We can trade Y or hold the line. The goal is a clean launch. She left with the spine she walked in with, and the project still hers. Field practice now. For the next 48 hours, run this sequence once daily. Map your season out loud. Pass one offer through the joyful yes filter. Draw an emergency circle for a hypothetical disruption. Adjust your detachment dial 2 clicks before a request you care about. Then send one small re-entry handshake to someone who needs the update. Keep a 2-minute boundary debrief at day's end. What you said, what your body felt in the first 90 seconds, what season fit you protected. If guilt appears, run it through the guilt filter you learned earlier. Did you betray a value or a habit? If a value, repair. If a habit, breathe and proceed. You'll be tempted to treat this like a performance. Performance is a thin season. Practice is thicker. Practice is how your identity changes shape until people around you, colleagues, friends, family, recalibrate without a fight. They learn you're a gardener of time, not a concierge of emergencies. They trust your yes because your no is real. They see seasons. They stop expecting summer at midnight in winter. Take a longer sensory walk to close this part. Feel your feet inside your shoes, each toe with its small presence. Notice the air on your forearms, cool or warm. Scan your jaw, your throat, your chest. Drop each by 1 notch as if loosening a belt. Hear your breath like waves on a small lake. Arrive, curl, slide away. Picture you're in a garden, damp, dark soil, a low stone wall, a gate that swings without creak. In the center, 4 signs read build, push, mend, deepen. You move the sign to match the season and watch your plants respond. Some leaves turn inward for winter, some stalks reach higher in summer. Nothing is wrong. You are not a factory. You are weather-aware stewardship. You are the awareness behind the rush to prove and the chill of silence. You can design a summer sprint that ends on time and a winter quiet that grows roots. You can say yes with appetite and aftercare. You can protect your inner ring when life hurls and open it when life hums. You can slide from firm to fluid without losing dignity. Feel that in your body, a small warmth behind the sternum, a loosening along the back of the tongue, a steadiness in your heels. This isn't theater. This is architecture that lets you love and work for a long time. Tomorrow will bring season tests and glittering yesies. Your map will tell you which ones belong. Your filter will pick the ones that make you brighter. Your emergency circle will stand by like a quiet friend with a flashlight. And when nostalgia for old medals whispers, say yes so they know you care, you will breathe, lower the dial 2 clicks, and answer with a sentence that respects your season and your future. You will be kind and clear again. You will be the gardener who knows when to prune and when to let rain fall. You will be the awareness that chooses weatherwise living in a world that worships perpetual noon. You're ready to stop fixing moments and start living from a spine. Up to now, you've drawn lines, negotiated trades, and steadied your breath while old patterns rattled the doorknob. Today you'll fuse everything into the way you move. Not a trick, not a script, a way of being that others feel before you speak. We'll stitch a final pair of tools into your nervous system, the boundary flywheel and the signature sentence. The flywheel turns single wins into momentum that carries you on tired days. The signature sentence is a one-line identity anchor that travels with you into rooms where applause or judgment used to bend you. You'll try them in a story with real heat. You'll close with a ritual that leaves a mark on your calendar and your bones. The boundary flywheel has 5 motions you can run in under 2 minutes. Cue, choice, claim, coach, collect. Cue is the micro signal that it's time to touch the gate, the text preview that spikes heat in your cheeks, the quick favor that buzzes under your jaw, the calendar invite that lands crooked in your chest. Choice is the one-liner that draws the line or names the trade. Claim is the internal whisper that you did it on purpose and for a reason. Coach is your inner ally giving you the next best move if wobble appears. Collect is the harvest of proof you record in a sentence so tomorrow's body remembers. You don't need a journal to turn, you need a groove to fall into. That groove is how clarity survives fatigue. Try a tiny flywheel right now. Picture a ping that used to own you. See the name on the screen. Feel the cool air slide across your inner wrists and the small weight at the base of your tongue. Cue, whisper, gate, choice, I'm not available tonight. I can give this my best at 10 tomorrow. Claim, I protected quality. Coach, if guilt flares, breathe and use the 90-second weather rule. Collect, type one line in your notes. Protected evening, delivered clean next morning. A flywheel turns with very little push once it's moving. Your nervous system loves anything that saves glucose. Repetition wires speed. There's a story with real stakes. The room is a rectangle of glass and ambition, the air carrying that faint dry erase scent with citrus hand lotion ghosts. You've been asked to lead a product line with high visibility and a habit of burning people down to the screws. The offer lands like a medal and a warning. The exec across the table smiles. Your chest hums, your shoulders reach toward your ears. Gate, breath, 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Then flywheel turns. Cue the hum and the word urgent. Choice, you run decision gate 3 in one sentence out loud so the room hears your mind, not your fear. I want this to win. Fit is strong, fuel needs a coordinator, future says we protect testing to keep trust. Claim, inside you say, this is leadership, not pleasing. Coach, you remember the envelope, floor 2 deep work blocks, sealing 1 urgent exception a week, bridge a swap or add a person, and you put it on the table like a blueprint. I'll accept with a pilot scope and a named coordinator. If we need nights, we publish an on-call with comp time. Collect, you write a single line after the meeting, accepted on design, not adrenaline. The room adjusts. The medal sits on your collarbone without choking you. The warning becomes a witness to the agreement you just authored. Notice your breath where it fogs the back of your throat as you imagine this. Sense the chair under your thighs, the slight give of cushion under bone. Taste the quiet after your sentence ends with an honest period. That quiet used to feel like danger. Now it feels like a door you closed gently on a soft latch. The signature sentence is the thread that stitches your parts together when stress tries to unspool you. It's not a mantra in the clouds. It's a street-level line that holds your values and your voice in 12 words or fewer. You will write one for work and one for life, then speak them quietly before rooms that used to bend you. It sounds like, kind and clear, I protect what lets me deliver. Or, I lead with warm boundaries and keep my word to myself. Every time you whisper it, Your reticular activating system pulls the matching memories forward. That is how identity becomes reflex under heat. Write yours now. Say it softly and feel the skin at your inner wrists cool as air passes. Let your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. Speak it once more, slower, letting the words sit low in your chest. This is the sound of your future self tapping your present shoulder. We'll take the flywheel and your signature sentence into a room with both family and power, because that's where boundaries get tested like bridges in heavy weather. A long table, roasted garlic and lemon in the air. You came home early to help with a parent's procedure. You've designed an emergency circle. Inner ring is sleep and a daily 90-minute block to manage logistics. Middle ring is paused social. Outer ring is automatic no to side favors. A relative who loves urgency more than accuracy says, "I need you to drive to the other side of town tonight for supplies, only you do it right." Your stomach drops with the old reflex to prove love by sprinting. You feel heat climb your neck. Gate, breath. Cue guilt spike and the word only. Choice, "I'm not available tonight. I can order the exact list for morning pickup or schedule delivery now." Claim, "I served the goal without self-betrayal." Coach, "If they jab, use the heat sink, validate, restate, bridge, collect, protected sleep. Procedure ran smoothly, supplies arrived at 8. The relative tries a joke about boundaries queens. You catch the compliment and set it down. "I appreciate your trust. Clarity helps me help well." You return to the sanctuary room in your body for one breath. The kitchen stays warm. The family learns you are reliable because you refuse to be endlessly available. Feel your shoulders lower a centimeter as you picture that. Hear the refrigerator hum and the smallest sound in your space. Your nervous system believes what it repeats. You just repeated design under pressure. Now we'll weld your boundary practice to how you close and open chapters, because endings and beginnings are where appeasement likes to stage comebacks. You will use the 2 doors ritual. Door 1 is closing. You name what you're done subsidizing with your body. Late night yesies, emergency theater, guilt-driven hosting. Door 2 is opening. You name what your yes will fund. Deep work, slow dinners, leadership you don't have to apologize for later. You speak one sentence for each and stamp it with your body so your biology stores it. I'm closing the door on applause chasing. I'm opening the door to steady excellence. Press thumb into palm for 2 pulses after each door. This is not magic, it's memory placement. There's a quiet office at 7:41 p.m., the sky a blue that feels like a cool cloth. You're tempted to send 3 extra emails to look tireless. 2 doors, close. I'm done buying belonging with late pings. Open, I'm funding tomorrow's clarity. You press your thumb into your palm, shut the laptop, and tell the aftercare reset to anyone waiting on a yes you accidentally offered at 4. I overcommitted earlier. Here's the clean version I can do. Your body learns that you end days instead of letting them eat you. A final science bridge, brief and practical. When you run flywheel motions, you're shrinking the distance between trigger and wise action, replacing limbic floods with patterned sequences. That repetition strengthens pathways between prefrontal cortex and amygdala, so the alarm gets accurate. When you speak a signature sentence, you recruit networks that keep self-images coherent. Under stress, coherence beats charisma. When you store proof with collect, you stack reference experiences that your RAS indexes. Tomorrow's courage will stand on tonight's sentence. Let's stress test with speed, a Slack storm. ASAP, quick call, you there? Your chest lifts like a startled bird. Gate, Sanctuary sprint in your chair, turn 5 degrees, breathe 446, name 3 sensations, cool at wrists, weight in heels, hum in walls. Double-click once, end of day or end of week, envelope, floor 2 deep work blocks protected, ceiling 1 urgent exception. Click Seal Ask. I can give a 1-pager by 5 or a deep dive Monday, which serves the goal. Flywheel finishes the lap with collect, kept spine, delivered 1-pager. It took a minute and a half. You're not surviving, you're operating. Your signature sentence steps into the places you used to fold and gives you a spine that isn't loud. It whispers in kitchens where you used to compensate, in meetings where sarcasm tested your dignity, in late-night rooms where the glow of a screen felt like approval. Speak it once before you walk in. Speak it once when you wobble. Speak it once after you hold. Let it be the taste on your tongue that says, I'm the person who protects what lets me be generous. We'll finish with the stone and stream ritual, a marker for the life you're choosing. You'll carry it for 1 week and then repeat it once a quarter. Find a small stone you can keep in a pocket. Each morning, hold it in your palm for 1 slow breath and choose a boundary you'll honor that day. Gate touch before every yes, quiet spine protected, joyful yes filter on invites, response latency held. The stone is the boundary's weight in the world. Each evening, place the stone in a glass of water by your bed and whisper 1 line of collect, clear no at 3:15, respect increased, or contingent yes protected quality, or boundary repair loop turned heat into trust. The stone sinks. The water remembers. Your sleeping brain consolidates the groove. After 7 days, pour the water into a plant and return the stone to your pocket without ceremony. You've turned choices into a stream that waters your garden. A last story, because endings deserve a story, with smell, sound, sensation, dawn, city quiet. Your apartment holds that pre-breath stillness. You pour yesterday's stone water into a basil plant that has somehow survived your learning curve. Your phone lights with a quick favor. You feel the old spark, then the new groove. Gate, breath. Signature sentence whispered so low it vibrates in your chest. Kind and clear, I protect what lets me deliver. Your thumbs press the sentence that fits today's values and season. You place your body in the day you designed. Hours later, someone says, you seem steadier. You don't perform gratitude. You feel your heels heavier in your shoes and say, I started keeping small promises to myself. You walk to the window. The glass is cool. Your garden is not a metaphor anymore. It's a calendar with margins, a voice with resonance, a life with room. You are not here to become untouchable. You are here to become unmistakable. Not because you shout, but because your yes and your no carry the same quiet weight. You learn to pause and give your prefrontal cortex oxygen. You learn to name trade-offs without shame. You learn to design seasons on purpose. You learn to repair without collapsing. You learn that kindness without clarity is confusion, and clarity without kindness is a wall. You learned that you are the awareness behind the weather, not the storm. You learned to lead. Feel your breath cool at the nostrils and warm on the way out. Notice the back of your tongue resting like a small boat on still water. Sense the chair, the floor, the ground, unremarkable and loyal. This is the part where you choose not a trick, but a way. Flywheels turn, sentences anchor, doors close and open. Stones sink and streams remember. You step into your day as the person who protects what lets you be generous. That is the art of inner boundaries. That is your life, drawn with a steady hand.